Have you or someone you know been diagnosed with TDS? The symptoms can be relentless. Fortunately, I'm Dr. Trump, and I have a treatment plan. Let's hear what some of my patients have to say.
I have been suffering for over a decade, and after listening to Dr. Trump, I can see some results.
Man, I've been suffering for years. I really didn't believe that was help out there. That was when I came across this video on TV.
I really thought I was a lost cause. This was gonna affect me for the rest of my life. But after using the treatment plan, I can see a difference.
I really wasn't sure I could help some of these people. They were so far gone, I wasn't really sure.
I had no idea how much this was affecting my life. My work is slowed down. I'm hardly recognizable anymore. I just needed help.
I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Constantly angry. I made everyone miserable around me.
I feel like I've aged 20 years in the last 2 years. I've been so concerned. I was really starting to worry about my future.
The treatment is simple. Turn off fake news. Say your prayers, and if you ever feel anxious, just have a Diet Coke like me, and you're going to see a remarkable difference in your life.
Wow. Sorry, everybody. I was trying to fix some things, get everything all set up, and the show was running late. I had issues. Let's just say issues. Issues, as usual. Always some issues. What's up, everybody? Great for everyone to be here tonight. I want to thank everybody who's here. Let's see. Great Eagle was first. Election ballots was shot down by SCOTUS. Yeah, it's terrible. We're gonna talk about it. What's up, Sherry Gatlin? How you doing? Jules is here. What's up? Awesome to see you. None of your business. Great to see you. What the F? Awesome. Series of bats is just stopping by to say hi to chat before making a post to share promote the show. It'd be super great if y'all shared it as well. That would be super great. And Steve Hilliard's here too. What's up, Jim and Jim Somniacs? Awesome to see you. Wasted Quake Ranger says Bella Vision TM for $10. Thank you. Thank you so much. That means, folks, we are now $90 away from adding a first additional hour to the show and only $40 away from Bellavision. That's right, because the way this show works, it totally operates by you guys. You guys decide how long the show goes. You guys decide how much show there is. What time zone for 6:05 start? What? I don't know what that means. It was supposed to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start, but I don't know. Jim is late and cynic. Yes, I am. But thank you for the 10. Yeah, so for every 100 that comes in across all platforms, YouTube Super Chats, Rumble Rants, gifted memberships on YouTube, Rumble, Kicker, Twitch, along with Locals Coins and Cash App, PayPal, Coffee, Ko-Fi, or Super Tips. We add it all up when we hit 100. We add an extra hour, and then for each additional 100, we add an additional hour to the show. So the show can be as long as you want it to be, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. And when we hit 50, we activate Bellavision, or if someone is so generous that they donate $20 or greater as an individual, and that could be like a single Cash App, PayPal, Super Tip, Rumble Rant, Locals Coins, or it could be like 5 gifted memberships. That would work. So thank you, everybody. Jay Schwartz is here. What's up? Good to see you. Jonathan's here. What's up? Great to see you. Doc, hey, how's it going? And that's right. And if you're interested in some meat from King of Biltong, you could check out www.biltongusa.com. Use promo code Jim and save 10% on those wonderful 8-ounce bags that make excellent gifts. If you like protein, Biltong is 50% protein. It's all American made. They have Wagyu, they have Angus, they have spicy if you like, peri-peri, Ghost, Reaper, all that stuff. They also have drawers, sausage, and what's the other one called? Carbonasa, something like that. Anyway, and then they got all types of other snacks and stuff there. I might not be able to pronounce it, but I tell you, it tastes really good. Karen knows here too. What's up? Great to see you. Jason Fisher's here too. Good evening, Jim. Hope you had a great day. Catch up with your favorite YouTuber. Just Diet Coke, Trump's drink status. Right. Drink a Diet Coke. It'll cure everything. The chemicals in Diet Coke must be the secret to his boundless energies. Starting to wonder, isn't that? Maybe there is something to that. Hey, Les Paul, what's up, man? Time to ramp up deportations. That's right. Get it going. Adding everything that happened over the weekend today and probably tomorrow, thinking the 250th, 4th for me will be awake. It's possible, man. It's possible. CF Rob, what's up? Great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. That's right. Please hit the like button. Please share. YouTube Rumble algorithms would really like it if you leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. It makes everybody happy. Happy. So what do you say? What do you know? What do you say? Let's do this. We'll do this. We'll get right into the first news story. Because, that's the way it is. That's the way she goes. The DOJ is launching a grand jury probe into communist Neville Roy Singham. Yes, the CCP guy. That's what we call him, the CCP guy. Hey, Kofi, what's up, buddy? Thanks for holding it down on Kick. Comcast and NBC doing some things, are they? Well, they like to do that shit. What's up, Lacey Quake Ranger? Hello, thank you for the 10. Greatly appreciated. So Neville Singham's funding of leftist group is under investigation. They want to see what he's up to. Oh, my God, what's this? At least 6 killed in a shooting in a state. Oh, man. Germany. I didn't think, we're going to have to look at that because I thought they had no guns in Germany. I thought they took them all away. Kind of like Canada. So grand juries issued subpoenas and DOJ investigation led by U.S. Attorney James Clayton. So the guy that he nominated, James Clayton. How funding from tycoon Neville Roy Singham flows to organizations. Look at this. Look at all this stuff. Flows out. Look at that. Look at all this money. Look at how it goes. How People's War money flows. Look at it. Look at this stuff. It just goes and goes and goes. It goes from him to these orgs, to those orgs, to all these orgs, to more organizations, and comes back. It goes down and up and out and in. That's crazy. Look at that money. Look at it just going. Money is just going everywhere. His money. Wow. That is interesting. So a federal grand jury is investigating financial crimes tied to Neville Roy Singham, who happens to also be married to the head of Code Pink. I didn't really do my hair. I got out of the pool and just combed it, so my hair looks a little off. What's this? The post-millennial pride tanks to 25-year low. Well, that's good. American Dreamer, so great to see you. You guessed my tattoo. Happy. I don't know what that means. Not that Karen could even everyone, my fellow anti-communists. That's right. We hate the commies here. What's up, Lisa Day? Great to see you. Awesome. According to a source familiar with the matter, the grand jury is investigating in Manhattan is investigating and issued subpoenas to be part of a probe launched by Jay Clayton, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. That's what my tattoo says. What? Awesome. What do you mean? Anyway, country's most powerful districts for federal prosecution. Yeah, the Southern District of New York. They always like to say it's like, oh, it's the sovereign district, the Southern District. I don't think it's sovereign. So Todd Blanche authorized the investigation as the administration seeks to crack down on fraud, money laundering, and other financial crimes in the multi-billion-dollar nonprofit industry. So never mind. Okay, well, you'd have to tell. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm like lost now. Now I'm really confused. The investigation is examining the movement of money in Singham's financial networks and attempting to determine if Singham, the organization he funds, or their leaders committed wire fraud, bank fraud, money laundering, or other financial crimes, according to a source familiar with the matter. That would be great if they could charge him with something, wouldn't they? Wouldn't it be great? I mean, I think it would be great. But that's just my opinion. You know what they say about opinions. Everyone's got one, and everyone thinks everyone else's stinks. It's happy, 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 happy. Oh, okay, that's awesome. Charvon, what's up? Hit the lock. Hit the lock button. That's right. Hit the lock button. Hit the lock button. I would luck you a lot to hit the button. Like lol. Yeah, hit the like lol button. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. So, did I have it pinned in the chat? I don't have anything pinned in the chat? Oh, wow. What do you know? Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Mm-hmm. There he is with his code pink wife. Prosecutors presented evidence to the grand jury, which issued a subpoena seeking bank records and other financial documents, which, that's what they do. That's what they do. Federal prosecutors use a grand jury subpoena as an investigative tool to compel the production of documents and testimony as they determine whether sufficient evidence exists to pursue criminal charges. Well, I mean, that's how they do. Nicholas Biasi, spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District, declined to comment. According to sources, Secretary Bessent traveled to New York City earlier this year for a meeting with Goldman Sachs CEO and Chairman David Solomon. The men discussed the role of Goldman Sachs' philanthropic arm, CS Donor Advised Philanthropy Fund for Wealth Management, that facilitated the movement by Singham of millions of dollars into networks of U.S. nonprofits. The Treasury spokesman declined to comment. A person familiar with the meeting confirmed that it occurred, saying that Bessent has regular meetings with business leaders and declined to comment further. Hey, America First, great to see you. Canada, what's this? Didn't I get that? I think I got that one already. Am I wrong? I think that's the same one, right? Okay. You posted it twice. All right. At the meeting, Bessent delivered a blunt ultimatum. Goldman Sachs could face scrutiny for conspiracy and funneling of Singham's money and urged Solomon to cooperate with the federal investigations. Ooh, that's good. Unhinged video. All right. Will Roberts get his ass kissed at the next cocktail party? It seems like it. They really screwed us over. They really did. They really screwed us over with her. It was once it was no problem. Once it was Roberts and Kavanaugh on one decision, and it was Roberts and Barrett on another one. So who knows? Yeah, I got it. Thank you. A source from another source said that the meeting wasn't as contentious and that Solomon readily agreed to pledge his cooperation for the Justice Department. Like many companies, Goldman Sachs has a long business relationship with the Chinese Communist Party, and Solomon participated in a meeting, for example, on November 4th with He Lifeng, a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China, Central Committee, and director of the Office of Central Commission. A Goldman Sachs representative spokesperson said that we have previously stated all distributions from Singham's donor-advised fund were made to legal nonprofits as determined by the IRS. There has been no distributions from that account since August 2023, and it was closed in early 2024. Hey to both of you. Hey to you too. So yeah, these Supreme Court decisions are totally irrational. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Like in one, they say, oh yeah, the president can fire anybody in the executive branch, and there is no such thing as a fourth branch of government. And then another one, they go, except for this one thing right here, we're going to say that this is a fourth branch of government that nobody ever say, but it's not really the government, but it is. So by mid-May, the Southern District of New York's investigation was in full throttle. Solomon joined a delegation of powerful business leaders who accompanied President Trump to meet officials in China, to meet with Xi Jinping and other leaders in the Communist Chinese Party. Goldman Sachs spokesperson said our business activity and executive trips to China are completely unrelated to this matter. Completely unrelated to this matter. It seems so hot in here. Wow. So a 5-part series published earlier this year, Fox News unearthed a 4-minute, 13-second speech in which Singham stood at the stage at the Golden Tulip Hotel for a Global South Academic Forum, coincidentally just days after Goldman Sachs chief was in Beijing. And Tricontinental Ltd, a Singham-funded nonprofit, co-sponsored the event with academic institutions administered by the Chinese Communist Party. On stage, Singham openly supported a New World Order promoted by Chinese President Xi Jinping and Communist Chinese Party. During the speech, he called the United States a fascist nation, echoing the propaganda of the Chinese Communist Party, now also parroted on the streets by communists and socialists and Democrat Party activists. So this is the guy. This guy is enemy number one. These DSA elections rattled Roberts, who says the court should not be political while he plays politics. Yeah. That's what he says. Hey, now, he's an asshole. He's fucking over the country. Yeah, hey, now, he's an asshole. I don't know. Do you want to listen to this speech? I don't think so.
The Second World War.
I don't want to listen to the speech. Never mind. But anyway, so just remember that this guy here, Neville Roy Singham, and his wife, the head of Code Pink, this is who Marjorie Taylor Greene is best friends with now, is Code Pink and this guy, communist. What's it say? From Gino for 10 says, thank you so much, Gino. So Maniac gave me Super 20 gifted Super Chats today for no reason, just paying it forward. Also, how about that Supreme Court 5 in Mississippi mail-in ballots? Yeah, it sucks, man. I don't get it. I don't understand it, Gino. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. It doesn't. Really doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I'm really worried too. Thank you so much for the 10. That means now we're just 80 away from adding a first additional hour and just 30 away from Bellavision. Really makes me worried about this birthright citizenship case. Like, I mean, Amy Coney Barrett is very suspect because she has 2 adopted Haitian kids. So I'm really shocked that she ruled the way she did on the Haitian TPS case. Just saying. Just saying. That was surprising. But thank you for the 10. Some maniac. Okay, some maniac. Well, that's good. The maniacs are cool like that. These rhinos will never leer. Nope, they will never leer. Thanks, some maniac. Yeah. More proof my hometown needs Old Testament bitch slapping. Oh, okay. Well, I can check that out. Definitely. Amy is wishy-washy. Oh, you ain't kidding. She's wishy-washy. She's wishy-washy when it really matters. That's the problem. She's wishy-washy when it really matters. That is the problem. Prosecutors have presented evidence to the grand jury. Wait, why does this do this? Okay. Oh, man, this is... So Singham's rise as a global financier accelerated after his marriage to Jody Evans, the co-founder of Code Pink. He aligned itself with authoritarian regimes like the Islamic Republic of Iran. According to sources, Evans is also the target of investigation. That same year, Singham sold his company ThoughtWorks for $785 million to a private equity firm, Apex Partners. Spokeswoman for Apex said the company wouldn't disclose names of investors who pumped money into that sale, but sources told Fox that the federal investigators are looking for potential ties to the Chinese Communist Party. After the sale, Fox News found Singham began directing large sums of money into networks and organizations that now form a broader activist infrastructure in the United States and abroad. I warned people last week all the SCOTUS wins were meant to soften the blow of pissing on our heads this week. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think you're right. We have 2 rhino politihacks on the Supreme Court. I'd say we have more than 2. They'll find a way to split the baby. That's what they're going to do. Fox News mapped 233 transactions from 2017 to 2025 that moved 591 million across 5 continents through 67 core groups in Singham's network. So this guy sold his business for 785 million and he's already spent 591 million. How does this happen? And all these, they're amplifying anti-US, pro-China messages. So the money, I think, is Chinese money. They're just using him as a conduit to funnel the money. That's what's happening. So Fox documented 278 million flowed directly from Singham into organizations that sow discord in the U.S. Why does this keep doing this? I don't want. Why does it keep doing this to me? Singham and Evans haven't responded to repeated requests for comments. The Answer Coalition, Breakthrough, BT Media, Code Pink, Justice and Education, all have refused to respond. And it's all these people he's backing. Singham, So, yeah. So here's the thing. Money laundering investigations prosecutors examine 3 stages of impropriety. What the fuck? Alleged one, the payment Singham funded the money into the United States through 3 key channels. Now defunct shell company, a donor advisory thing. So the one is 164 million, 110 million, and 3 million. Layering, the 3 entities then pumped 278 million into 6 nonprofits. The 6 nonprofits had funneled 233 million in other forms into a global network of organizations, including the People's Welfare Association, countless unidentified organizations in 6 regions around the world, including Sub-Saharan Africa, Central America, North America, receiving tens of millions of dollars. So, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, Socialism is Liberation, has received a bunch of money from Singham. Yeah, so that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Wow. So DOJ investigating Marxist millionaire Neville Roy Singham. So hopefully they get his ass. I mean, that's what we want. We want him to go away. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it one bit if this Code Pink lady is only married to him to give him the ability to do this stuff in the U.S. You know what I mean? Like if this isn't just a sham marriage. Money laundering from China. Yeah. John Roberts can start his own Supreme Court PAC. Probably, man. There we know splitting the baby. The heretics will say the 14th Amendment means what they say and not what the men who wrote it meant. Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't know how they're going to get around that. Like, what did it mean at the time when it was written? What did it mean at the time? That's what it means. That's what it means. That's what it means. It's all part of the plan. Unfortunately, that plan sure seems like it's the destruction of the U.S. Well, hopefully Singham goes away. Yeah. Well. Oh my God. Wow. Didn't Barrett adopt a few kids from various third world countries? She has adopted, I believe, 2 Haitian kids. I believe 2 Haitians. I believe. So Supreme Court takes up a dispute over Arizona voting restrictions. So this is a little bit somewhat good news, maybe. Supreme Court on Monday, but it's not going to happen in time. Here's a report. I guess as we're going to talk about all this stuff, we could just go ahead and do this. Why not?
That Congress had created to kind of be bipartisan and more.
This is a CBS News special report. I'm Tony DeCopa. We're coming on the air as the Supreme Court just ruled on a pair of major cases tied to presidential power and the question of whether the president can fire members of independent federal agencies, including the Federal Trade Commission and the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. The first case involved the firing of FTC Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter, fired by the president without cause, and the firing of Federal Reserve Board of Governors member Lisa Cook with cause. That was the second case. So let's get right to CBS News Chief Legal Correspondent Jan Crawford, who's been reading through these 2 rulings. Jan, good morning to you. Begin wherever you like. What do we have?
Well, we have 2 very important decisions on presidential power and whether.
All right, hold on a second. I got to address this. Greg says, but you're okay with Trump accepting a gift of a $400 million 747 from Qatar for his future presidential library. First of all, it's not a $400 million 747. It's a 747 to be used as an Air Force One because they did not have a plane ready to be used. They needed a new plane. That plane is not going to Trump's presidential library. All right. It's not. One of the older planes is going to Trump's library. One of the older 747, one of the older planes, one of the existing ones. So I don't know what you're talking about. And it's not 400 million. You think a 747 costs $400 million? What is wrong with you? Yeah, they do. They just make shit up.
Or not, as you said, the president can fire not only a member of the Federal Trade Commission, but upwards of 24 other federal agencies that Congress had created to kind of be bipartisan and more independent, and whether or not he can remove a governor on the Federal Board of the Federal Reserve Board's Board of Governors for cause without giving her any notice whatsoever. It's a mixed bag for the president in these rulings. I think, Tony, the most important ruling does concern the Federal Reserve Board. President Trump, as you said, had tried to remove Lisa Cook, saying that she had committed fraud on a mortgage application before she was nominated as governor by President Biden. He sought to remove her for that, saying he had grounds under the law to remove her. But she got no notice. She had no hearing. He announced this on social media. And the Supreme Court today, in an interim ruling in this kind of emergency application that came up to the court, said that that wasn't good enough, that the Federal Reserve is unique and different among these independent federal agencies, that Congress set it up to kind of oversee our monetary policy, and its independence is sacrosanct. And if a president is going to remove a member of the Federal Reserve, there has to be cause, and there's got to be some kind of process, a hearing and notice, again, critical to preserve the independence of the Federal Reserve Board and its role in regulating and setting our money supply. Again, this decision was written by the Chief Justice John Roberts, as was the other decision. That would involve the Federal Trade Commission, another independent, once bipartisan federal agency created by Congress in 1914. In that law establishing the Federal Trade Commission, and again, like laws governing several other or couple dozen other federal agencies, Congress limited the president's power to remove commissioners, saying that they had to be staggered and they should be bipartisan. Today, the court said that violates the Constitution's separation of powers, that these executive agencies now have so much power that the president has to be able to say he's in charge of them, that the buck stops with the president because they're acting.
Well, that's like an ignorant way to read it, lady, to say they have so much power now that the president has to. No, because they are Congress. This is all Congress's fault. You cannot set up something in the executive branch and then all of a sudden decide that the president doesn't have control over it. Yes, Congress as a co-equal branch did what to the president. You people are evil or stupid. Yeah, it's just they're not making any sense with these things. They're trying to say whatever. The whole thing too with Lisa D. Crook is they didn't say she couldn't be fired. They didn't say anything about that. Even Kavanaugh said in his concurrence, said like, well, all they have to do is just tell her what it is, and he can still fire her for cause. So he should just go, okay, we're going to fire her for cause now. We're going to give her a notice that she's being fired for this, and you're fired. That's what should happen now. Yes. Get rid of 95% of DC, defund DC. I agree, Jake. I agree. Again, independent from who? You daffy broad. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm saying, like, independent. First of all, this stuff, all this independent agency crap was started by Woodrow Wilson. It was all started by Woodrow Wilson. Like, he was a guy who basically said the American people were too stupid to be in control of all these things, that they needed to have experts to run our lives, to decide things outside of politics, because they wanted to take control away from anybody elected and put it with experts. That's what happened here. And the Supreme Court should have shut it down completely. It's around $400 million with all the upgrades that are needed for it to be a secure mobile command. Yeah, okay, but they're not paying all that. Qatar's not paying for the U.S. upgrades. They just gave over the plane. Not sure what happened in Europe today. Oh, wow. President Trump unveiled a custom Boeing 747 valued at approximately $400 million. The $400 million, though, is not the cost of the jet. That's the cost of all the stuff that has to go into Air Force One that the U.S. government pays for. The plane, a 747, I think, is probably like $50 to $75 million for the actual plane, maybe a little bit more, but not no fucking $400 million for one airplane to buy one. A good man tried torching a prayer center in Dublin. He failed, but a huge majority of frogs want migrants gone.
On his behalf, unlike when they were created 100 years ago, and that voters have to know who to hold accountable if you don't like what the FTC is doing. So that's that ruling. A win for the president. He can replace these members of these independent executive agencies like the Federal Trade Commission, the National Labor Relations Board, on and on, but not the Federal Reserve. That is different. The markets have been watching that case very closely. As you know, Tony, the president had threatened to try to fire former chairman Jerome Powell. So this now will keep the Federal Reserve independent and protected as Congress had intended, Tony.
All right, Jan, thank you very much. Let's bring in Jessica Levinson. She's a CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor. Jessica, thank you very much for being here. Rebecca Slaughter would have seemed, on the face of it, to have a better case here than Lisa Cook, because she was fired for the president for no other reason other than the president saying it was inconsistent with his priorities. That's not cause, as it was written in the law. What does this mean for everybody else at all the other federal agencies?
I think this is such an important question because, as Jan said, this is about a president's power. It's not about Rebecca Slaughter and what her case specifically was, or Lisa Cook and the case that she had in saying that the government should not have tried to remove her. I think we have to look at this through the different lens, which is this is all about what does a president, this is not just about President Trump, what does any president have the power to do? And what the court says today is very consistent with what it has been saying for years, which is when it comes to the executive branch, and specifically these independent executive agencies, the president does get to fire and hire people at will, as Jan said, because somebody needs to be able to be held accountable. The president is elected to be head of the executive branch. And so I think the point today with respect to Slaughter's case is that it doesn't matter if there was any reason, that this should be, in the court's view, up to the president to decide. And then when it comes to Lisa
What's up, Pyramid?
We're basically bubble wrapping the Fed. We're saying that's different. It doesn't look like the FTC. It doesn't look like the NLRB. It doesn't look like these other alphabet agencies, because what they do is different. And so we have, I think, an acknowledgement that not all agencies are the same, at least with respect to this carve out for the Fed, where the court is saying, looks like a bare majority of the court is saying that Lisa Cook needed some process, that she needed some notice and opportunity to be heard before, in fact, the president tried to remove her. And it's important to note that the president didn't challenge the for-cause provision when it came to the Fed. Of course, that was challenged for the FTC.
All right, Jessica, thank you very much. I want to bring in Chief Washington Correspondent Major Garrett. Major, in many ways, the Supreme Court has empowered this president, but in other significant ways, restricted this president. And today we have another mixed decision on that front. What do you make of the politics of it?
The Federal Reserve is different. That's what the Supreme Court said. And there has to be a process by which if the president, any president, is going to fire a sitting Fed governor, confirmed for that position by the United States Senate, you have to provide that person, under all circumstances, means by which to challenge the reason that that person was fired. Because the Federal Reserve is not only central to the United States economy, not only was it set up differently than these quasi-independent agencies, it is interacting with the entire global economy. Therefore, the perception and the reality that it is free of political pressure from any chief executive has to be protected, not just judicially, but for the betterment of the entire country. The Federal Reserve, the Supreme Court, as I read this, and I believe Jan and Jessica would agree with me on this, is different. A quasi-independent agency isn't. It has connections to the executive branch, and the executive branch can reach in there and do things that starting.
Okay, I just have a question for the Supreme Court and for everybody. Where in the Constitution does it say that Congress could set up these independent agencies? Where does it give them that authority to create this other branch of government? Where is it? Where is it? Like, this is not, this is why, Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, and I think even Barrett went against this. That because it's nowhere in the Constitution says that this other agency can exist. So it doesn't matter how they wanted it to set it up or anything like that. It's still not constitutional. It's not. Hey, we got 5 from Brian. I've never watched you on a big screen. Interesting. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. That means, folks, we're now 75 away from adding a first additional hour and just 25 away from Bellavision. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. What's up, Pyramid? Great to see you. At the end of the day, she will still be fired. I think so. I think she's still going to be fired. Mm-hmm. I got to calm down. This calls for some fire. Oh, God. Oh, God. Man, Gundam, you always get my blood pressure going with this stuff, man. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Where in the page that got stuck that SCOTUS apparently separated? Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to find it myself, but I'm trying to find it. I will donate $5 if you time out Greg for whatever amount of time you feel like. Well, you don't have to ask me twice. You don't have to ask me twice. I'll take you up on that offer.
In 1935, the court said, no, we're going to give these quasi-independent agencies a little bit of buffering. Gradually, in court judgments since 1935, that buffering has been eroded. This is the final straw that breaks that camel's back of buffering around these quasi-independent agencies. So they're different. They are much more attuned to the whims and the attitudes of the sitting chief executive, but the Federal Reserve is not. And for those who trade and interact with the U.S. economy, they will breathe an enormous sigh of relief. The politics of it are pretty simple. Everyone in America more or less agrees and did agree until President Trump came along that the Federal Reserve did have this special.
Okay, no, I did not. I never agreed to that. I never agreed to that. Did you guys agree that the Fed was special and it was this branch of government that's not accountable to the government at all? That the Fed is not accountable to the Congress, the courts, the president. It's just a group of people that just decide our monetary policy with nothing, nothing. That they're just like our betters. They're like this class. They're banksters. Kind of makes you wonder when people make claims about our government be run by banksters. Yeah. Brian comes in and says, I'll swift this because I love everyone. Bet is calling me. Well, thank you. With another 5, that means we are now 70 away from adding a first additional hour and 20 away from Bellavision. Thank you so much. Send Greg my love. My way. I love stupid. Hey, America First with 5. Thank you so much. FYI, I sent in my super chat. No, thank you. Thank you. So what that means, we're 65 away from adding a first additional hour and just 15 away from Bellavision. Thank you. Now I got to look and see, did we hit the goal? I have to double check something real quick here. Brian, 510. No. All right, just double checking. I had to double check to see if we hit someone independently hit it. So I did not agree to that. Yep. The Fed are thieves that have stolen our wealth. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Sent. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Got to check on Nashville weather. Why? What's going on in Nashville? Was hoping I was not the only one to get it or scared them off. I think there's other people in there. There's other people in there.
Special status. President Trump tried to change that. The Supreme Court said, not so fast.
Major, thank you very much. So recapping for people just joining us, this is good news for those who value the independence of the Fed. Lisa Cook, a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors who had been fired by President Trump, citing alleged mortgage fraud. She had no opportunity to respond to that charge, and she denied them. She will not lose her position. The Fed is independent in a way that other agencies are not. Rebecca Slaughter's outcome is different. The buck stops with the president. Our coverage.
That's right. The buck stops with the president. Brian with another 5 says someone is going to hit Bellavision. Someone is going to hit Bellavision. That means we're 60 away from adding a first additional hour and just 10 away from Bellavision. Thank you. I'll go to Rumble and keep you company. That nudity crap will end when jihadists bring their swords. In 1907, a virulent financial panic exposed how fragile America's banking system was. The jolt led lawmakers to call for creating a lasting central bank, the Federal Reserve. Yeah, and look what happened. Like right after they did the Federal Reserve, what did we get? We had the Great Depression. We've had numerous collapses and other crap with inflation spiking. We've had, and because of the Federal Reserve, we'd have times in the United States where, interest rates were 15, 20% in the 70s. Yeah, insanity. The Federal Reserve did all that. So the Supreme Court on Monday agreed to decide whether federal law bars Arizona from imposing tightened voting rules. Why would the federal law forbid Arizona from putting tightened voting rules? Doesn't even make it. Agency independent from the U.S., just like the founding fathers intended, exactly why the U.S. was founded. Yeah, not really. Fine, free the best sidekick ever. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Brian. Wow, man. So that means we are now just 50 away from adding a first additional hour to the show. Thank you so much, Brian. Wow. Put her up there so everybody can see her. Yes, thank you. Thank you to everybody. Must be nice to get paid for failing, right? Right? Ain't it great? Yes. Thanks. Definitely. How many Brits have hands in the Federal Reserve? Well, that's the thing. It's because it's owned by these other banking systems and other people, bankers. There's all types of foreigners that have their hands in our Federal Reserve. Creating debt out of thin air, simultaneously creating income tax. Yeah, it's crazy, right? I'm happy I only work 4 days this week. Well, 4/10s is not a bad schedule. Psycho E. Jean Carroll getting her payday for lying. Thanks, SCOTUS. Yeah, that story's there. I have it. And there she is, the star of the channel and the dude that speaks. Yes. And the dude that speaks. Not very well sometimes, though. So this sets up a high-stakes dispute over the state's efforts to tighten voting requirements. It's a crime for non-citizens to vote in federal and state elections. Yeah, so why are we not able to stop them? Some states have sought to implement new restrictions aimed at ensuring non-citizens are not on the voter rolls. Supreme Court will hold arguments in the next term, which begins in October. The dispute before the Supreme Court involves 2 Arizona laws that were adopted by the state legislature in 2022. The first requires prospective voters who are registering on a state form to provide proof of citizenship, and the second involves procedures for state election officials to review voter rolls. All right. This case is the case where the federal district court said, "Oh, you can't put requirements on them to prove they're a citizen to register in federal elections." It's like, what? Bella is more entertaining than Jim, I hate to say. I know she is. They end their positions only because they're doing their jobs right. I don't know about that. Oh, no, 4 days because it's the 4th of July. So prospective voters can also register using a federal form, which does not require proof of citizenship. In Arizona, applicants completing the federal form that do not provide citizenship proof may be registered as voting in only federal elections, but are not eligible to vote for president or by mail. There were more than 19,000 Arizonans who had not supplied proof of citizenship. I mean, this is how retarded this is. That it's like, oh, you can't vote for president or state elections, but you can vote for Congress if you're not a citizen. Don't prove citizenship. This is insanity. There were more than 19,000 Arizonans who not supplied proof of citizenship or were registered as federal-only voters, according to court records. After the measures were approved by the Arizona legislature, the DNC, the Demon Rats, sued. Said that you can't enforce this. You can't have proof of citizenship. The plaintiffs argued that the provisions violated or were preempted by the National Voting Registration Act, as well as a 2018 consent decree between Arizona's Secretary of State and the Maricopa County Recorder. A federal district court said election officials could not reject state voter registration forms that lacked proof of citizenship, citing the consent decree, and ruled that under the NVRA, Arizona could not systematically cancel voter registrations within 90 days of a federal election. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit considered the court's earlier injunction, and it went to uphold the order barring enforcement of the voter registration laws. I mean, the fact that this has been going on for 4 fucking years is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So the court also held that the law bars county recorders from systematically canceling the registration of voters they have reason to believe are not citizens within 90 days of a federal election. Supreme Court considered Arizona's voter registration laws ahead of the 2024 election. When the Republicans and the National Committee turned to the High Court for emergency relief, the court allowed the state to enforce the proof of citizenship requirement for the state form, but declined to allow enforcement of its rules requiring proof of citizenship for president or by mail. What? Just think how retarded this is. Like, the rules should be the rules. If you have to be a citizen, you should have to prove it. All the illegals in our Congress's insurance against the people removing them. It is. Arizona's continued to enforce the citizenship rule for registering to vote on the state form while litigation continued. In a separate case, Virginia's voter removal program, the Supreme Court allowed the state to move forward with its removal of roughly 1,600 non-citizens from its voter rolls. Virginia had launched this program designed to clean up its statewide voter registration list exactly 90 days before the 2024 elections. Republicans in Arizona returned to the Supreme Court early this year when they appealed decisions in 3 different cases involving the voting requirements. The Trump administration urged the High Court to take up one of the appeals, which involves a proof of citizenship requirement for the state form and program to purge its voter rolls. It's just nuts, man. It's just nuts that this is going on. It's nuts it's going on. Just nuts it's going on.
New this morning, the U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to take up a major case over Arizona's voting laws.
Yeah, the justices will decide whether the state can continue requiring people who register to vote using a state form to provide documents that they are, in fact, a U.S. citizen. Now, the case stemmed from laws passed after the 2020 election that also allow election officials to review voter rolls and remove people believed to be non-citizens. Supporters say the rules help protect election integrity, while opponents argue they could make it harder for eligible voters to register. The Supreme Court's decision could shape how Arizona and possibly other states handle voter registration in the future. The High Court is expected to hear arguments in the fall and hand down an opinion after the midterm elections.
Yeah, so it's going to be after the midterm elections. After. So, all right. We're going to get into this next case here. Supreme Court going to allow... It's basically Supreme Court's going to allow Trump to fire agency leaders, exempting the Federal Reserve for now. Basically, that thing we watched. So, in a 5-4 vote to deny administration a stay and sent the lawsuit over President Trump firing Elisa Cook, the decision means Cook can remain in her post as the litigation continues. Cook claims that the attempted removal was not for cause, as the statute requires, but it was for cause. This is just ridiculous. Trump attempted to fire Cook after housing finance agency accused her of mortgage fraud. So SCOTUS rejected Trump's argument, denying him a stay. Federal Reserve has a for-cause protection when it comes to removing a leader. Courts have ruled that for-cause means proven misconduct, not allegations. But the proven, this is the thing. It's a fucking paper crime. It's right there. The evidence is right there. It's a variable, subjective thing. Yeah. Arizona's elections are not historically the most honest. No, they're not. Cook has only faced allegations of mortgage fraud. Oh, but then in the FTC case, SCOTUS ruled 6-3 to end a precedent set in Humphrey's executor. So they completely overruled Humphrey's executor, so it doesn't exist anymore. So Slaughter could be fired. Yeah. Humphrey's framework has not withstood the test of time. From the start, Humphreys was tethered to a highly circumscribed view of the FTC's role. An independent of executive authority, exercised no part of executive power. I'm glad SCOTUS pointed out that independent agencies are not independent. Slaughter relies on reliance. She argues that Congress has relied on Humphreys to create agencies that are insulated from presidential control. That Congress doesn't have the authority to do that. They don't have the authority to create agencies to take power away from the president. They don't have the power to do that. Despite what Humphreys may say, independent agencies are not independent in the sense that they are free from the president and thus responsive only to the people of the United States. Placing the power to administer laws and officers who enjoy freedom from the presidential oversight does not deliver us a promised land of technocratic governance. It often results in increased subservience to congressional direction. The FTC falls under the authority of the executive branch. It's only independent because a cabinet secretary does not oversee the agency. Where does the FTC fall? Majority explained. With the principles in mind, the FTC for cause removal provision violates the separation of powers. Because it administers some 80 statutes governing almost every facet of the nation's economy. That's right. So the FTC unquestionably exercises executive power and must therefore be controlled by the chief executive. All the court does today is recognize what has been clear for a century, that those who fall within the president's general administrative control must be removable by the president at will. Congress can create a rock the president cannot lift. This is beyond retarded. Yeah. Hey, sweet daydreams. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. By letting non-citizens vote for them and cheating. That's right. I rule. What's up? Great to see you. Supreme Court overturns landmark Humphreys executive case. Supreme Court blocks Trump's bid to fire Fed Governor Lisa D. Crook. So, but it doesn't really, what it says is she can stay on while it goes on, that she didn't have the notice. She was entitled to notice and some opportunity to respond. So they just need to give her the notice now, and they need to do it. They need to do it and just say, okay, we're filing you this paperwork that please explain this discrepancy. Have a hearing in front of somebody. That's what I would do. Dang, you might have to swell up on a situation due to the lack of law. the Mexican Batman story and to get reported is hysterical. We'll get there. We'll get there. I'm just trying to get through a bunch of these ones that I had in the top 4 first. So we'll see what happens with that if he's gonna do it the right way. Okay, and then we'll get to the vote by mail stuff real quick. So Supreme Court upholds mail-in ballot postmarked by but not received after Election Day. So Barrett joins Roberts and the 3 liberals. Mississippi law, the counting of absentee ballots postmarked by Election Day but received up to 5 days later. We must decide whether federal Election Day statutes preempt Mississippi law. They do not. This is a problem because Election Day is Election Day. Guess they never heard of Chi-Com carbon emissions. Got so many things over there for me to get to. I just have to say Trump better not pay E. Jean Carroll. I don't know if he's got a choice now. He might have to. So, yeah. Amy Coney Barrett, yeah. She's the one. She's responsible for this. So Democrat mail-in. Here's a.
We have lots of phrases that involve 2 words, the last of which, the second of which.
All right, well, whatever. We already heard this stuff. So the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 in an opinion. Justice Barrett joined the Chief Justice. Ugh. The 3 liberals holding Election Day doesn't mean received by Election Day. 3 federal statutes set the day for election of representatives, senators, and a president. Mississippi law permits the counting of absentee ballots postmarked by Election Day, but received up to 5 days later. So what if it's a month later? What if it's a year later? What if it's like, if they come in, 30 days later, like California? Barrett doesn't have the balls to be on the Supreme Court. Yeah, that was Pence. Pence did that. Barrett was Pence. It should have been Barbara Lagoa, but Pence was like, it's got to be a thing. So the question before us is a narrow one about timing. Plaintiffs do not challenge the manner in which Mississippi carries out federal elections. They do not, for example, challenge the general practice of absentee voting, nor do they challenge the use of postal service or common carrier to transmit the ballots. Although Election Day statutes refer to a particular day, plaintiffs do not contend that everything must occur on that day. For instance, they do not object to early voting or dispute that officials may count votes or certify a winner after the day. Finally, this is not the case about the Constitution. We do not consider the scope of Congress's authority to regulate the elections. The sole question before us is whether counting ballots postmarked by Election Day but received up to 5 days later violates the federal Election Day statutes. So, yeah. So now, what if it's not postmarked by Election Day? What if it's not postmarked at all? That's right. Election Day is Election Day, not election months. This is crazy. No, Jim, it was Trump. He knew Pence was an ass. He should have said. Yeah. Bella is there, yeah. So the electorate's choice is made when voting is complete, not when ballots are received. The most recent amendment to the Election Day statute bears this out. In 2022, Congress inserted the phrase Election Day into the statute and marked that day. So in 2022, Congress, under Biden, they made changes to fuck around. It's created an exception when states modify their period of voting in response to certain force majeure events. The term Election Day shall include the modified period of voting. Oh, okay. So states can just modify it to whenever. Congress defined Election Day with reference to voting indicates that voting is an act governed by the statute. In sum, the Election Day statute requires that an electorate's choice be made on Election Day. That occurs so long as Election Day is the deadline for individuals to vote, as is in Mississippi. But Election Day statutes do not set a deadline for ballot receipt, so they do not prevent Mississippi from counting ballots postmarked before Election Day yet received afterwards. Alito, joined by Thomas, Gorsuch, and in part Kavanaugh, wrote the dissent. Federal law designates the Tuesday next after the first Monday in November as Election Day. Because the electorate's a collective body, the way in which this expresses choice is less straightforward than it would be the case if the electorate was a single individual. In this case, we must apply this interpretation. The acceptance of these late arriving ballots effectively postpones the date at which the electorate's choice is made, and federal law precludes this postponement. So they dissented, but, Election Day is a specified date, not a span of days. The dissent points out that this decision, rather than being a narrow one, opens up a whole host of issues. For example, why is the postmark sacrosanct but not other methods? What if alternate couriers are means by selected by a state? And why just 5 days late? Why not more? And this is contrary to the statutes and ripe for fraud and loss of confidence. States that favor mail-in ballots were pushed to limits with nothing in this ruling to stop them. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. Now we got a Fourth Amendment case, which is interesting. All right. It's about this is about geofence warrants. This was Trump's appeal of the first verdict. He has indicated plans to appeal the separate $83 million defamation verdict as well. So Supreme Court rules police conduct a Fourth Amendment search when grabbing your Google location history data through geofence warrants. The Supreme Court held money that law enforcement officers conduct a Fourth Amendment search when they obtain a cell phone user's precise location history data from Google using a geofence warrant. In a 6-3 decision, the court ruled that Americans have a reasonable expectation of privacy in their cell phone location information, even when the data is stored by a third-party technology company such as Google. The ruling represents one of the court's most significant digital privacy decisions since its 2018 Carpenter decision involving historical cell site location data. Justice Elena Kagan authored the majority opinion, joined by Chief Justice John Roberts, Sotomayor, Kavanaugh, Ketanji Brown Jackson, with Jackson separately concurring. Of course, Jackson has always got to write something. Always. Gorsuch concurred only in part of the judgment, while Samuel Alito dissented, joined in part by Clarence Thomas and Amy Coney Barrett. Justice Barrett also filed a separate dissent. So this builds directly on the Carpenter v. United States decision, which already required warrants for cell site location information. The court made clear that Google, even more precise and sweeping location data, which logs the user's location every 2 minutes within about 20 meters, and can even reveal elevation and which floor of a building someone is on, deserves at least the same protection. This case arose from a May 2019 armed robbery of a credit union in Midlothian, Virginia. Police had surveillance footage and witness statements, but no suspect. On June 14th, they obtained a Virginia magistrate geofence warrant directed at Google. The warrant targeted a 150-meter radius around a credit union. It used Google's infamous three-step process. Google hands over anonymized location data for all devices inside the geofence for 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after the robbery. Step 2, officers narrow the list. Google then provides more anonymized data inside and outside the geofence for a longer 2-hour window. Officers narrow again. Google turns over names, phone numbers, and identifying info for the final short list. Google ultimately produced 3 users identifying information. One was petitioner Oakley Chatri, whose data showed him entering the geofence area about 10 minutes before the robbery and heading towards a residential area right after. Chatri was later charged federally with robbery and firearm offenses. He moved to suppress the Google data, arguing that geofence warrant violated the Fourth Amendment. I mean, how are they supposed to get a warrant if they don't know the person's name? I don't know. The district court agreed that the warrant plainly violates the Fourth Amendment, but denied suppression under the good faith exception. Divided Fourth Circuit panel, and then the en banc court affirmed on different grounds, with judges splitting evenly on whether a search was even occurred. The Supreme Court granted certiorari only on the search question and left the warrant's validity, particularity, and probable cause at each step for the Fourth Circuit to decide on remand. The court systematically rejected the government's arguments that location history is more revealing than CSLI at issue. It creates an encyclopedic and detailed portraits of a person's movements and associations. Even short-term monitoring here for just 2 hours can reveal a wealth of detail about a person's life. The government cannot claim a free pass for limited duration data when it can cherry pick exactly which hours it wants from Google all-encompassing database. I mean, but how are they supposed to get a warrant for somebody if they can't? I'm not saying I disagree with this, but I'm just wondering how they're supposed to do this then. So basically, they can't use this data anymore. They can't use they can't use your phone to get you anymore. If you take your phone somewhere, they don't know. There's no way for them to find out unless they know who you are. They have to Data is on the phone. The warrant is on access to the phone. Third-party doctor does not save the government. This information is not truly shared in a normal sense. Google users turn on location history for their own benefit. After repeated prompts warning the devices will not work correctly, they do not expect Google to hand it over to police on demand. The for cause for Cook is in regard to something she did while in office during her official job, like stealing from the government while she's employed, not for what she did before she was in office. They said, though, no, but they said that if it has some connection, like if it has some connection to her job, like she committed mortgage fraud and she can't be working in the Fed, our Fed, you know, which handles mortgages, interest, financing. That's the thing. What she did is a crime of moral turpitude. So she can still go over it. So I don't know. I think this might be a good thing. I'll have to see more about it, what they're saying here. You know, so they're just sending it back. They didn't. They just said that it is a search under the Fourth Amendment. So AP just says Supreme Court rules constitutional privacy protections apply to cell phone user location history. All right. On to the next story here. Embattled Maine Democrat deadlocked with Collins despite controversy in key Senate race. So, yeah, so even with all the shit going on with this communist Platner, they're still showing that him and Collins are tied neck and neck. I just want to point out, though, that every election for the past 3 cycles, they've said Collins was behind getting beaten, and she's won by 6 to 8 points each time or more. So if they're saying she's deadlocked, maybe she's going to beat him by 10. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Platner now speaking before a large crowd in Maine after a significant victory in that Democratic primary. Let's dip in.
I've made mistakes in my life, mistakes that I regret, that I live with, that I continue to learn from. And I'm still far from perfect. But every day I wake up and I try to be a little bit better and a little bit kinder than I was the day before. And if you give me the chance, I will be a senator for the people who cannot afford to buy a senator.
Wow. So the Soros money that he's getting, all the Soros money he's getting, that's not buying him, I guess. Geofence is a virtual boundary around a real-world area that triggers actions when the device enters or exits. Imran Awan did real estate fraud, spy ring on Congress guy. I made mistakes in my life and never got a Nazi tattoo. Yeah. Zieg Hila. Zieg and Hilo. So Platner, the communist running for Maine senator, is in a dead heat with Republican Susan Collins. Platner, who has a slew of controversies, stands at 49% support, with Collins at 47%. So we'll see. Translation: pool all your money and you can afford me. Yeah. 1984 is here, baby. Yeah, it is. Oh, good God. It's old single grandmas. They probably think he's hot. Probably. So Collins, a moderate who at times votes against President Trump, like when it matters, she votes against President Trump, like when Trump needs her vote. So Republicans currently control 53 to 47. Flipping the seat in Maine is key part of Democrats' path to retake the majority. Oh, man, what is it with this?
The AARP aisle, where every shelf is packed.
In the U.S. Senate, the Republicans, of course, want to hang on to that majority when it comes to the midterms. You can see that if they lose only 3 seats, they will lose. They will actually, at that point, they're going to have Vice President Vance be the tiebreaker. But that's where the watermark is. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says that he believes Alaska, Ohio, North Carolina, and Maine are the must wins for Democrats if they want to flip the Senate. Maine Republican Senator Susan Collins is about to join us as she runs for her 6th term, 29 years in the Senate, facing off against a man who has become quite well known in recent weeks for various reasons, the Democrat Graham Platner. He's got a lot of controversies on his hands, and he's asked often if there are more to come, including the Purple Heart recipient that he called dumb, saying he, quote, didn't deserve to live, according to the Maine Monitor newspaper. Also, the sexting scandal, accusations of getting rough with an ex-girlfriend. He denies any physicality after the New York Times reported earlier this month, quote, during one argument, she recalled that he twisted her arm behind her back and shoved her into a bedroom, closed the door from the other side so she couldn't get out. It hurt, she said, but it did not cause an injury. It didn't break my arm. Platner also denies knowing that one of his tattoos was extremely similar to a Nazi symbol. He covered it up with a new tattoo.
The tattoo thing, I've had it for 20 years, and it had never once come up.
She says, same person, that you referred to the tattoo as my Totenkampf, which is the German word for this particular Nazi symbol.
Any statement saying that I did know is again, totally false.
Were you sending sexually explicit messages to other women?
At the beginning of our marriage, I made mistakes.
They were adult women, you knew that, and it was consensual. Is that true?
Yes.
Keep covering up for him, lady, Mr. Maddow.
You confirmed that. You knew their age.
Yes. Oh, God. I mean, yeah. Yes, of course.
Mr. Platner could be rough with her, Ms. Fifield said, particularly when they were drinking, leaving her shaken and sometimes afraid.
Those serious allegations are just not true.
So we have invited Graham Platner to join us. We're waiting to hear back from his campaign. Earlier today, I spoke with Senator Susan Collins just about an hour ago in her first national TV interview since he won the Democratic nomination. Watch. So since this is the first time that we're hearing from you since he has officially become your opponent, what do you think of him? What do you think of Graham Platner?
Well, I have to say, Martha, that I never expected to have an opponent like Graham Platner. He is very different from me. He's the antithesis of the steady leadership that I provide in Washington that has delivered real results for the state of Maine and for our nation. There have been numerous controversies. He often denies them, only to be contradicted by others who say what he told them. The Nazi tattoo is a perfect example of that. He had it for 18 years until he covered it up during the campaign. And we have at least 3 accounts which said he knew very well that it was a Nazi tattoo.
I mean, come on, he knew it was a Nazi tattoo. He knew it was a Nazi tattoo. He did. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. That's just ridiculous to say he didn't know it was a Nazi tattoo. Yes. Steady, definitely. She dyes her hair, definitely. Does she have Parkinson's? I believe she does. She's too old. She is very old. Yes. I believe she does have Parkinson's. Democrats will start impeachments against Trump and everyone in the Trump administration. Well, they'll try. You know, we keep the majority. They better be the last one for her crazy. Yeah. Rhino, definitely. Definitely. So, yeah. So nearly half of Maine voters. What is with these fucking pop-up ads? What the fuck is going on here? Nearly half of Maine voters say Graham Platner is too extreme as polls show race with Susan Collins tightening. So here's Trump talking about it.
He's got the Nazi stickers. He's got the whole deal, and they're trying to say that's a. So for 8 years, 10 years, they said Trump is a Nazi. Now they can't say that anymore because they have a guy with a tattoo on his chest. It's unbelievable. But they voted against no tax on Social Security. They voted against no tax on tips. They voted against no tax on overtime. And if they got into office, you will have all of those taxes and all of that money that you're saving, including the big savings on Social Security. It's going to all be terminated. You're going to have to start paying it. They want to pay it. I don't know what's wrong with these people. They voted in favor of the estate tax or the death tax on your farms and your businesses. You know, farmers and small business people, they love their children. If they love them, it's great. Most of the people love them. Some can't stand. I know people that can't stand their kids. They're not going to leave them 10 cents. But if you love your child, you want to leave your farm, especially from these farmers, it's born in them somehow. They want to have their children on the farm. The children don't want to leave, but sometimes they're land rich and cash poor. You know, I've known that expression too. I've oftentimes been land rich and cash poor. It's not a good period of time. And you die and you have a estate and they tax you at 40, 50, 60%. And they end up losing their farm, losing their small business. And in many cases, you don't read about this, they commit suicide. They actually go out and commit suicide because they're forced off their farm by a bank. They have to go out and borrow money from a bank.
No, they have to go out and borrow money from a bank. So, you know, it's crazy. So hopefully Collins can pull us out. We need that seat. We do. So Harvard survey said that only 40. What the fuck is this? What is it with these fucking pop-ups, man? 44% would describe Platner's having good character compared to Susan Collins, 66%. 45% agree a Democrat has the right kind of moral values compared to Collins, 61%. Poll says Platner's leading 49 to 47 with 3% saying they didn't know. So we'll see what happens with this clown. I don't think he's going to win. I really don't. With all these scandals, Maine, I don't think Maine has gone that far yet. I don't see it happening. 60% of Maine voters disapprove of President Trump, about the same percentage as in September 2020. So in 2020, Collins trailed her Democrat opponent by more than 5 points and won by 8.6 points. So that's the thing. Like, the polls are always skewed Democrat. So as long as she's within a few points, she'll probably pull it out by quite a bit. By 5, 6, 8 points. Wonder if it was the KKK tattoo covered by the Nazi tattoo, then covered by something else now. It could be. Could be. It's possible. Wow. All right. All right, let's get into a bunch of these stories that Gundam sent over. All right. Germany, at least 6 killed in shooting in Stade. Several people are reported dead following gunfire in the northern German city of Stade. Authorities arrested the suspected shooter and said the shooting concerned a custody dispute. Shooting in northern German city left several people dead. Police initially reported the death toll of 5 adults, but later said it risen to 6. 5 people died at the scene, while the 6 died in the hospital due to injuries sustained during the shooting. 2 people were arrested, including the shooter, but no other suspects. There were no other suspects on the run. Several people were also injured. Shots were fired near a youth center. Police spokesman says the facility includes temporary accommodation for pregnant women and young mothers with children. Stade. Okay. Stade. Shots were fired near the youth center. A spokesman says the shooting was likely an extended family tragedy. It does not appear to be a case of femicide or to have a political motive. It's rooted in the environment of the Youth Welfare Center. I don't know what this is. It's described as extremely cold-blooded act of violence. Okay. It's probably going to be in German.
German police say that 6 people were killed and others injured in a shooting in northern Germany on Monday. 2 people were arrested, one of whom is the suspected shooter. The incident happened around Monday lunchtime in the city of Stade, near Hamburg.
Stade.
Local police say that the shooting was in a temporary home for young mothers. Police said that there was no danger to the public and an investigation is underway. And DW correspondent Simon Young is monitoring the situation in Stade for us. Simon, talk us through what happened.
Well, Sarah, as you say, 6 people so far are reported to have lost their lives as a result of this shooting incident. 4 women and 1 man were shot dead on the scene, and 1 further person has since succumbed to their injuries in hospital. And it's possible, according to police, that death toll could even rise further because several people were some of them severely wounded in this incident. Now, this all unfolded at a facility that really provides services, including accommodation for pregnant women and mothers with young children. But what we don't really know at the moment is what precisely happened, how this attack unfolded. And that'll, of course, be one of the main things that police investigators will be trying to reconstruct.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the victim, Simon? Do we know anything more?
Well, we don't know the identity of any of the people involved, neither the victims nor the suspected attackers. Police are saying that they've got the suspected shooter in custody. They've arrested that person, and they're also questioning two other people who are believed to be somehow involved, although they haven't arrested them. What it would be important, of course, to understand whether there's some kind of relationship between the person wielding the gun and those people who've died.
Simon, how common are incidents like this in Germany? This doesn't happen often, does it?
No, indeed not. Mass shootings are fairly rare in Germany, certainly when you compare it with, for instance, the United States. But there have been this kind of incident before, but this would be one of the more deadly of recent years. Back in 2023, a gunman opened fire at a Jehovah's Witness meeting hall in Hamburg and shot dead 6 people there. In 2020, a far-right extremist killed 9 people in the central city of Hanau. So those are the kinds of incidents that have occurred in recent years. There are around 5 million registered guns in Germany, and authorities believe a larger number of legally held non-registered weapons as well.
Simon Young, thank you.
In this incident.
Wow. Very interesting. All right. Now we got this next story. U.S. pride tanks to a 25-year low, just 53% proud to be an American. This is insane. Gunman was a 45-year-old Turkish national born in Germany and living in Hanover. He had an appointment at the center Monday with many of the victims to discuss the custody of his daughter. Wow. Hey, Lurch Linger, thank you so much. That's right. Hit the like button. That's right. Hey, we're an hour and 20 minutes in. We're halfway to adding an extra hour. Just so everyone knows, we got about around about an hour left if we don't hit the goal. As America nears its 250th birthday, polling by Gallup finds that citizens are growing less proud of their country. Yes, half the country hates this country. It's right. Those are called demon rats. Just 53% of all adults are very or extremely proud to be an American. It's the lowest point dating back to 2001. This remaining share of adults in the poll said they were moderately proud or only a little proud or not proud at all. Americans' pride in their country has declined on several metrics since 2017, including pride in the nation's military. What type of people are not proud of their government or their country because they lost an election? Decline in the nation's pride can be tied to several events, including the beginning of President Trump's first term. The COVID-19 pandemic, inflation experienced under Joe Biden. It didn't matter. Republicans, conservatives, people, America First people, MAGA people were not saying that they hated America because Joe Biden was president. I don't know. Can you guys hear my grandkids? Because I can hear them. They're extremely loud. Democrats kill the planet, spraying and poisoning everything. Oh, and vaccinating, medicating. Yeah. So much of the decline in patriotic stems from the Democrats, who have become increasingly scumbags, since President Obama left office. Wow. When asked about the U.S. Armed Forces, 86% of Republicans say they're extremely proud, compared to 42% of demon rats. When asked about the nation's history, 68% of Republicans say they're extremely or very proud, while only 26% of Democrats say they're proud of Americans' history. Wow. When asked about whether being American is extremely important to their identity, 76% of Republicans said yes. Only 41% of Democrats say yes. Yep. Screw Obama and his fictional son, race-baiting son of a bitch. Yes. About 3/4 of Americans aged 16 and older said being American is highly important to who they are, compared with only 1/3 of people under the age of 30. I wonder how many people of them under the age of 30 were like anchor babies or, illegal aliens. Someday you'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. 73% of Black Americans said that their race or ethnicity is extremely important to how they see themselves. That share is higher than the percentage who said that being American is extremely important. That's a problem. If for someone who says the color of their skin is the most important thing that I'm more important than anything else, that those people would be called racist, wouldn't they? Wouldn't that be considered to be a racist that says anyone who says that being white or being black or being Asian or Mexican or any of these things, the color of your skin is the most important thing? Only 22% of white Americans said that their race or ethnicity is extremely important. 73% of Black Americans said that their race is extremely important. Wow. We have an issue here. We have a problem. Who in the world did they poll? I'm proud. All my friends are proud. Yes, color racist. Yeah. Well, the people that said they weren't were all the Democrats. That's the thing. It's like, that's the numbers. It's all the Democrats. Yeah, there was another next story. American leftists are silent as Hamas crushes the anti-Hamas protest. I saw stories about this yesterday, that there was people protesting in the Gaza Strip against Hamas, and so Hamas, of course, is going to go. Yeah, some of the most dishonest racists. Yeah. So the Free Palestine movement has remained silent on the arrest, torture, and murder of anti-Hamas protesters in Palestine. The violence and repression committed by the Hamas terrorist group against Palestinian civilians throw a wrinkle into this narrative, blaming Israel and President Trump for all the suffering in Gaza. The protests also dispel claims by the American left that Gazans want to be ruled by Hamas, or that Hamas is a legitimate governing body. For the second time in a little more than a year, Palestinians in Gaza took to the streets demanding an end to Hamas rule. According to the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey, Hamas approval rating fell from 52% in December 2023 to 43% in May 2025. Demonstrations organized as the June 26 peaceful revolution reflected growing anger over nearly 2 decades of Hamas control. The protests were organized across 18 locations in the Gaza Strip. Demonstrators called on Hamas to disarm and transfer civil administration to a transitional governing authority. Hamas responded with a sweeping crackdown. Security forces arrested organizers, kidnapped suspected participants, threatened demonstrators, and used mosques to denounce the protests before many rallies could begin. Armed operatives arrested Gazans in the streets, seized phones, restricted movement, displaced persons in camps, and rounded up others at hospitals. Wow. Using color is slimy, like what the snake Satan would use. Yeah. Although the crackdown prevented large-scale demonstrations, hundreds of Palestinians defied the threats and publicly called for Hamas's removal. In the days preceding the protests, Hamas launched what activist Ahmad Ahmed Fawad Aktibli, a Gazan-born Palestinian living in exile in the United States, described as industrial-scale campaign of terror, intimidation, interrogation, and blackmail. Wow. Participation could there be treated as collaboration with Israel, a crime punishable by death under Hamas rule. Look at this, Brian, with another 5. I'll throw this in, and y'all can rally. Well, thank you, Brian, for 5. With that means we're down to 45 away. Just 45 away from adding a first additional hour. Thank you. And then Lisa Day throws in 5. Thank you. That means we're down to just 40 away from adding a first additional hour. Thank you all so much. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Saw a video of a UK mom, her son, now a minority in his class, being racially abused, tells a teacher, as his mother requests, the teacher said, "You're white. You can't be racist to a white person." Holy shit. That is so ridiculous. That is racist to say. Look at this. We got a gifted member from Lurch. Thank you, Lurch Linger, for the gifted membership. That means we're now just $34 away. 4 away from a first additional hour of the show. And let's see who got that. It says American Dreamer. American Dreamer received a gifted membership from Lurch Linger. Thank you so much, Lurch Linger. Wow. Thank you so much. Then American Dreamer with 5. Thank you so much, American Dreamer. With her 5, that means now we are just $29 away from adding a first additional hour to the show. Thank you all so much. It's very slimy, super slimy to say that. Obama couldn't use race. He had to use colors because he's mixed race. Yes, gift memberships are the best. Yes. Thank you so much. On the day of the protest, Hamas police, intelligence units, and Al-Qassam Brigade militias deployed throughout the Strip. Armed operatives were positioned there, planned gathering points. Civilian movement around displaced person camps was restricted. The atmosphere on the ground was one of clear pressure. Okay, you're going to listen and make a burger. Oh, thank you. Have a good burger. I like them. American Dreamer got the gifted membership. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Lurch. Every attempt at public organization was met with an immediate presence of security forces. Hamas used Gaza's hospital as detention and interrogation centers. Detentions were reported at 4 facilities: Ashifa, Nasir, Al-Hali, Al-Adab, Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospitals. Yes, thank you. Yes. Tenacious D clogging and love of Satan. American Dreamer said 5. I got it. I got that. I got it. I had it. I pulled it up. Don't forget to hit the like button. Yes, please. So all this stuff. Hamas warned journalists not to cover the protests. Its affiliate media outlets published footage of empty intersections, declared the failure of the June 26 revolution. So, yeah. But, yeah, nobody's going to say nothing. On social media, Hamas-aligned accounts claimed the protest movement was orchestrated by the IDF. There's a harsh reality on the ground. The attempt to silence every critical voice only deepens the crisis. Despite the crackdown, hundreds took to the streets carrying signs reading, "God willing, Hamas out. We want to live. We are not pawns." We'll see. The suppression is carried out by dedicated internal security units operating outside any legal process. The UN report found that Hamas's Sam unit and Rada force killed 60 civilians in Gaza during 2024 and 2025. Well, the right to peacefully assemble political expression is a foundation of civil liberty. The population of Gaza is entitled to exercise this right without fear of violent reprisals. Mainstream and left-leaning media have given minimal coverage to the anti-Hamas protests. As a result, most American liberals are unaware they are taking place. Where the protests have received attention, Hamas' portrayal of the demonstrations as Israeli agents has been repeated in pro-Palestinian circles in the West. Yeah. Yeah, Students for Justice in Palestine are ideologically aligned with Hamas. They cannot support calls for Hamas's removal without fracturing their own coalition. That's the issue. But they got to go, man. Hamas got to go. Transgender former prostitute running for mayor in Canada uses sock puppet during campaign speech. This is fucking ridiculous, man. This person. A transgender male former prostitute is running for mayor of Hamilton, Ontario. This is just nuts. It's been very interesting to watch all of this, though. Yeah. Let's just say heinous brother, Massachusetts Attorney General, rot, jail raping multiple women, posing fake Uber driver. What? What is this? What is this? Well, everyone deserves to feel safe in our community. Well, not women, because you want to, do things to them. People are weirdos. So the YMCA Hamilton Women's Distinction Award for work, this person received. He announced his candidacy for mayor early this year and is registered for municipal elections. Gillespie's campaign platform focuses on affordable housing, tenant protections, climate justice, community-led safety initiatives. The candidate described himself as a community organizer and activist. In a video from the campaign event shared, Gillespie is at a microphone with a sock puppet. I mean, okay.
I knew I wanted to run for mayor when Andrea Horvath refused to meet with me when I was the victim of a hate crime, and we were at the safety summit, and she had her communications person, Amanda Kinnaird, stand in front of me like I was a feral dog, when I actually just wanted to be respected. That's when I knew I wanted to run for mayor.
Wow. So that's what's right. You know, this is crazy. We're living in a crazy thing. Crazy times with these people. Crazy times. Yes, weirdos is right. Can you imagine how much more crazy the world would be if our animals were as nuts as the people are? It is, right? Heinous brother of Massachusetts Attorney General will rot in jail for raping multiple women while posing as a fake Uber driver. What? A predator who prowled Boston's nightlife posing as an Uber driver before raping multiple intoxicated women will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Well, will he? Or maybe they'll fucking pardon him or release him. Wow. After a jury convicted him of a string of horrifying sex acts. Alvin Campbell, the brother of Attorney General Andrea Campbell, was sentenced to life in prison after being found guilty of 21 to 22 charges stemming from a years-long campaign in which prosecutors say he preyed on vulnerable women leaving bars and entertainment venues across the city. What's this say? Bannon ally and Getter founder Miles Gu sentenced to 30 years in prison for $1.4 billion fraud. Link was paywalled. Financial Times story. What was the fraud for? What was it about, the fraud? So brother of Attorney General Campbell was sentenced to life in prison. The Suffolk County jury earlier this month convicted Campbell on multiple counts, including rape, kidnapping, indecent assault, and battery. His trial laid bare for what prosecutors described as a calculated pattern of targeting women who were too intoxicated to protect themselves or even remember much of what happened. Campbell would exploit women who were too drunk to consent or fight back before recording some of the attacks on his cell phone to save for later as mementos. This idiot was doing the stuff and recording it. Thank God these criminals are so stupid that they record their crimes. Campbell would exploit women. Yeah, the videos became key pieces of evidence. Defrauding investors of more than $1.4 billion in what prosecutors describe as a fraud empire. One of Campbell's rape convictions carried a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 15 years. How is it a life sentence if you can get parole after 15 years? But even if he were ever granted parole, additional rape convictions would require him to serve decades more in prison, meaning he's effectively expected to die behind bars. Oh, there he is right here. Campbell is the brother of Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell, picture to the right. Is that the same guy? Is that him? Say Campbell targeted intoxicated women. Wow. Prosecutors say Campbell spent years cruising through downtown Boston after bars closed, deliberately searching between 2017 and 2019, searching for women who had been drinking before convincing them he was their rideshare driver. Each claim was chillingly similar. Investigators told how his SUV was plastered in Uber logos and stickers, despite the fact that he no longer drove for the company. Night after night, Campbell drove his car into downtown Boston late at night when the bars were winding down, and he looked for targets, young women who had too much to drink, who would actually believe he was the rideshare driver. And it took him 2 years to catch the guy. Wow. This is nuts. Did I see Tucker's interview with the Trump advisor? Tucker denied claims that Israel killed Kirk. I saw some stuff where he's trying to walk it back now, but I don't know. Night after night, he drove his car. Murphy said Campbell was targeting them for sexual assault, was looking for women he could exploit. In many cases, women had little or no memory of who he was or what he'd done. Wow. There seems to be an alcohol problem in Boston. Hey, Roselle, what's up? Great to see you. What's it say? Father charged after 10-year-old allegedly shoots 7-month-old daughter. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. That almost seemed like the 10-year-old had a 7. That almost seems like the 10-year-old shoots 7-month-old daughter. Like maybe it was the 10-year-old's daughter, but I understand it's the father's daughter. Tucker destroyed any chance of Fox or Newsmax hiring him. Yeah, he's never gonna work for any. I mean, he can't. He can't. According to the documents, the attacks took place inside his SUV at his apartment or at victims' homes. A common denominator in the attacks is evidence Campbell masqueraded as a rideshare driver and in one case, a bar employee and targeted women at venue in the downtown Boston area who were too intoxicated to consent. Thanks, Jim. Great to be here. I want to see Greg get his ass kicked. Well. Oh, yeah. Look at this woman's like, Judge Mary Ames sentenced him to life in prison. Campbell's defense claimed sex with the women was consensual and that they were misremembering the encounter because they've been drinking. The attack that would identify Campbell as the suspect occurred on the night of December 6, 2019. Cops say Campbell pretended to be a rideshare driver, picked up the victim outside the Harp Bar in downtown Boston. After the real Uber she ordered through her phone app had inexplicably left. Tucker could get a job at RT or Al Jazeera. Yeah, he could. Cops say Campbell pretended to be the rideshare driver and picked up the victim. After the real Uber, the woman who was intoxicated got into a black SUV with the expectation of being taken home. She's said to have passed out in the backseat during the commute. Prosecutors said after sexually assaulting her inside the vehicle, Campbell drove her to his apartment and raped her. He also allegedly videotaped the assault. The woman woke up hours later inside the bogus Uber driver's home, suffering from pain in her groin and an injury to her chest. Campbell then drove the victim to a CVS pharmacy and left her there. The woman somehow made her way home, went to the hospital to undergo a sexual assault evaluation, and filed a report with the Boston Police Department. Detectives identified Campbell's SUV from surveillance video, which ultimately led to his home in Rhode Island. When police executed a search warrant, went through the contents of his phone, they found videos showing him groping and raping women in his car. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Clips showed her both clothed and naked. Campbell addressed her by name and commented cruelly about her body. He said at one point, raise your eyebrow if you're all right. Do you want to go upstairs to your house or come to my house? A DNA test compared a swab to the victim's rape kit to a sample from Campbell, produced a match. A search of the suspect's car and home yielded a luggage tag bearing the victim's name. A statement, D.A. Rollins, Suffolk D.A. Rollins. This Rollins D.A. is a real piece of work, too. She used to be the U.S. attorney. She did a bunch of scandalous shit there. Women have every right to partake and enjoy an evening out. Yeah. Men need to start speaking to their sons, their brothers, and colleagues about the new vision of masculinity. This has nothing to do. What the fuck are these people blaming on men and masculinity because this scumbag did this? Campbell's the brother of the attorney general, the top law enforcement official in the state. Before the trial, she made a statement stating how she was praying for the survivors in the case. It takes extraordinary courage to come forward. They deserve dignity and respect. Campbell's been in custody since his initial arrest by the Boston Police Department. Mexican Batman sought by police after taping suspected motorcycle thieves to lampposts. Ooh, this could be good. Law and order crusader or vigilante thug. In the Mexican state of Jalisco, a Mexican vigilante known as being called Batman for his rampage against suspected thieves. The Dark Knight is now wanted by police for chasing down motorbike thieves around the town and taping them to lampposts. Yes, Boston PD is corrupt AF. It is. A Mexican Batman has reportedly emerged in Jalisco, hunting motorcycle thieves and taping them to street posts. Mexican has real-life Batman Lagos de Morena hunting down thieves. Wow. Oh, that guy must have been like not wearing clothes. Interesting. Not as a hero we deserve, a hero we need. Yeah. The justice system is so broken that you have to take matters into your own hands. Wow. Interesting. Interesting. Has its own Batman. He hunts motorcycle thieves at night and duct tapes them to poles. Interesting. Interesting. Well, kudos. Good for you. Police stress that the men found tied up are the ones being treated as the victims. Several showed signs of being beaten up by the individual. One left bloodied and bruised. So the thieves are the victims. That's right. The thieves are the victims. The following days, more men were found taped seemingly by the same perpetrator who left all the thieves in similar states. State Security Secretary Juan Pablo Hernandez said a total of 5 cases have been reported with cops hot on the Mexicans' trail. Man, that sounds pretty stupid to me. Let him do his job. At least somebody's doing something about the crime. That's the kind of immigrants we need here. Yeah. You approve. Yes, I approve too. I'm America First. I may not agree with everything Tucker says, but I value his courage for not being afraid to say what he believes, right or wrong. I don't know what he like. Kapow. Yeah. I don't know what he saran wrap isn't a condom. Yes. I don't know what he believes or not. I don't know what he's just saying for money. That's the thing. Is he just saying stuff to get paid is the question. I don't know. We need Don Quixote. Yep, we'll take him. America First, he doesn't believe any of it. Yeah, well, I think Tucker lied before, and now he's telling how he really feels, which makes him a traitor in my eyes. Drag queen spraying kids with water at Baltimore Orioles Pride Night attacks Trump administration as furries roam the stands. Oh, what do you know? So we talked about this, the drag queens doing this stuff at the, what's it called, the bird bath or whatever at the Orioles Stadium. Most in the chat don't listen to Tucker nor Alex. I do. I used to listen to Tucker and Alex Jones all the time. I just don't have time to do it that much anymore. So, bizarre event. The team handed out special Pride Night jerseys to the first 15,000 fans. Furries were also spotted wandering the stands during the annual celebration. Oh, look at the furries. Wow. Heidi in the closet, the drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, was the Orioles guest splasher. Wow, I had to turn the music. This is crazy. This is disgusting. Orioles feature a drag queen as the guest splasher. That's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Interactive water feature sits directly beside the Under Armour kids' home run porch. The Trump administration has driven a rollback of the DEI programs. Can't happen enough. Can't happen fast enough. Man arrested for assault with deadly weapon after shooting nude bike riders with BB gun in Los Angeles. How is a BB gun a deadly weapon? This is fucking ridiculous. A BB gun is not a deadly weapon. Those are retards, yeah. I did the Batman was different in the military. They object because they look like Jimmy Durante when they blow them up. Yes. I don't want drag queen squirting nothing on me. Definitely. Man arrested for shooting a BB gun at naked bike riders. A man was arrested on Saturday in Los Angeles after shooting participants in a naked bike ride in downtown Los Angeles. BB man is a hero. He is. How is it? It'll put your eye out. Yeah, maybe. But how is it how is it assault with a deadly weapon? A BB gun is not a fucking deadly weapon. Can't even break the skin. The man reportedly faces assault with a deadly weapon, a BB gun charges, and other charges. Some may call this man a hero, but according to the state of California, he's a violent criminal. The male suspect, dressed in all black, is seen being arrested by police after shooting a nude cyclist with a BB gun.
What if President Trump's next major executive order could create more millionaires than any event in modern?
Charges after allegedly shooting two people. Charges after allegedly shooting two people with a BB gun at a naked bike riding event in downtown LA. This happened around 11 this morning near the intersection of Temple Street and North Alameda Street. Police say a male suspect dressed in all black and riding a scooter fired the BB gun at the nude cyclist. Two victims were treated for lacerations at the scene. The suspect will be charged with assault of a deadly weapon, and more charges are pending.
I mean, I can see it charging. I can see them charging him with assault or battery or something like that. But assault with a deadly weapon, I don't see a BB gun as being a deadly weapon. I don't. A BB to the eye might take you down. Yeah, it would have to hit you in the eye, but I don't even think it would. I mean, it might shoot your eye out, but it's not going to kill you. Well, we all can't take the law into our own hands, right? Or it would be anarchy. I agree that we can't all take the law into our own hands, but somebody's got to enforce the law and do what's right. I mean, right now we have where no laws are being enforced in a lot of places. That's why this Mexican Batman that's stopping the people actually stealing the bikes. That's what else are you supposed to do? And like this guy is sick of these nudists riding around. Probably, I don't know why the guy did it, but if it's a guy who's like they're being nude in public, which is against the law. It always was, indecent exposure. But because we got these crazy communists in all these positions of power, they're making it not illegal anymore. So they're just letting them do the shit. Hank says, I shot my cousin with a BB gun when I was a kid. My butt was injured more than her. Yeah, we probably got spanked, right? I clicked on ladies WSOP last night, and it was a dude playing. That's right. The winner of the World Series of Poker in the ladies tournament is a man dressed as a woman. I learned to never point guns at people. That's right. Never do it. We should start a GoFundMe and buy more BBs and CO2 cartridges. Pepper spraying with a squirt gun would have been better. Yeah. Funny, some BB guns can make you walk funny for the rest of your life. Some BB guns could make it. Okay. Well, yeah, forget a spanking maybe. Punk-ass cops should have arrested them all for indecent exposure. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Problem, though, is that they'll probably arrest, if you were to say something about it, they would arrest you and say your hate speech. Your hate speech, because you're saying stuff about it's their rights to do this stuff. So typically the World Naked Bike Ride takes place during the midsummer months. They ride through the streets naked to protest for cyclist safeties. 2 bike rides were held in Los Angeles at different times. Clothes came off as the rubber hit the road. This is all ridiculous. The event, which occupies a legal gray zone around public nudity, operates under guidelines that prohibits lewd or sexually explicit exposure. The ride is instead framed as protest. Yeah, it's all protest. They have to get in people's minds. My 5 caliber Sheridan pump could go through a 2x4. Is it a 5 caliber or is that a 25 caliber? 0.177 pellet guns hurt. A BB is 0.177. Yeah. Tucker says a lot for money. Pellets also. Yeah. If I'm not gay, they'll let me walk around naked. I don't know. I mean, there are some pellet guns that you can kill squirrels and rabbits and stuff and raccoons with and stuff like that. Like the older ones, the ones that you pump, the more you pump them, the harder they shoot. Those pellet guns, those are usually like 22 or 25 caliber. You can actually use them for hunting. Don't ask me how I know, but I know. It's probably an airsoft gun. Yeah, that's right. It's probably one of those airsoft guns shooting plastic BBs, and they're still wrestling with this shit. So, several people injured after an explosion in Monaco. Suspect dropped bags at explosion site. So this was a bomb. At least 3 people were injured in an explosion in Monaco on Monday evening. 5mm. I've had one of those for almost 50 years and killed many squirrels. Okay. Oh, 5mm. Okay, 5mm. Yeah, that's like is that like a... Is that okay? I think they used to have like 5mm, like they were called the real short things, right? They have a specific name. They're called like carousel loads or something like that, right? Or something like that. 20 caliber. Okay. According to French media, the explosion happened after a person dropped off bags.
Pardon, je vous coupe les toutes premières images que l'on peut vous montrer ce soir, donc, de cette rue de Monaco où un colis piégé a été déposé un peu plus tôt dans la soirée, aux alentours de 21h05. C'est ce que nous disait le procureur général de Monaco. S'en est suivi une explosion, 3 blessés ensuite, dont de graves, et on voit effectivement...
Oui, on voit 2 personnes, là, vous les voyez sur la gauche de l'image, Maxime.
Ce sont les images précédentes. Les voici, ces images.
Il y a des pompiers qui
on voit les premières
transportent
prises en
2
charge.
brancards successifs, c'est ça.
Oui, il faut dire une chose, c'est que la principauté, c'est un territoire qui est très très petit.
2 km².
C'est quand même assez compliqué pour quelqu'un de fuir sans être remarqué.
C'est quand même assez dense.
Il fait jour.
Oui, à ce moment-là, il est 21h05. La prise en charge que l'on voit là, il y a déjà énormément de moyens sur place. C'est ce que l'on voit ici.
Donc voilà une première réponse opérationnelle.
They said croissants are not good. So police in Monaco are hunting for a man suspected of detonating a makeshift bomb that wounded 3 people. Alert! Bomb. Wow, here's the here is this stuff. Here's the explosion. It blew a hole in the ground. Look at that. Wow, it blew a hole right through the stairs, and you could see the basement area below. Wow. It blew this whole fence out. That's a pretty decent explosion. Wow. And then this story says that the air conditioning wars. Modern Europe faces a summer with a lot of climate panic and no ACs. I mean, that's the thing. More people die in Europe from the heat than die in the U.S. from Calibri loads. That's it, right? Calibri loads for 22. They just have a primer compound, smaller bullet. Yeah. Now, they use those for they used to have in bars, they used to have little shooting ranges. Like you go in a bar and shoot like little targets with these little things that were just like plink, 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 little plinkers. You lasted longer than you should. Smell you later. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for being here. So California Penal Code says 314, 6 months in jail for public nudity. Sheridan can pump maybe 15 to 20 pumps. We got a Crossman dual CO2 golden powerlets with 22 scope on it. It's very accurate. Why don't they have ACs? Well, they don't want them. Hit the like button, subscribe for Jim. Maybe Jim worked for an extra hours. We'll see what happens. They're just trying to blame America. Yeah. Well, last week, European Commission Ursula von der Leyen caught a lot of heat. Why? She decided that the European Commission would shut off the air conditioning from floors 0 to 7 during the summer heat wave. That's asinine, of course, but worse, floors 8 to 13, where von der Leyen works, remain icy cold. And simple technological gadgets that anyone in the rest of the world can enjoy. Nowadays, every summer, overlords utilize the hot weather to violently push their net zero lunacy. Europe is sweating through a nasty heat wave. Meanwhile, she stays perfectly cool. The old 22 Benjamin pistols were good. I have a old Benjamin Franklin pump action rifle that shoots 22. I think 22. It's either 22 or 25 caliber. I think it might be 22 pellets. It's very, very good. Very, very good. Wow. So Europeans are treating 35C as a calamity. We can't help but smile with their lack of knowledge. But we hear that Germany, for example, even surgical rooms do not have AC, and we start to wonder if they're not killing people on purpose. A London preschool kept their students happy and cool by hosing off students with water during lessons breaks. Yeah. Just get air conditioning, you dummies. The warning comes from the climate activists and government officials, but there's no difference between these two categories. All the planet uses AC, but Europeans think they're the center of the world and know better. However, the debate over air conditioning moved to the spotlight after the French lawmaker called for a mass subsidized rollout of cooling appliance with traditional hostile greens, conceding that some air conditioning may now be inevitable. The lady that won the lady poker event was a woman. Was it? I read a story that it was a dude. Are you sure? They're becoming more stupid by the day. Oh, maybe she didn't. Maybe the transgender finished runner-up. Okay, so the winner was a woman. The trans was runner-up. Okay. So a woman won. An actual woman did win. An actual lady won. The runner-up was a man. So public buildings don't have AC. Well, they shut it off. The EU building shut off the AC from the 7th floor down. Executive offices are above that. Chiacom's making fun, posting videos of AC in Chinese barns and pigsties. I heard he got second. Yeah, second place. Yeah. They have some very powerful air rifles, but they cost quite a lot. Yes, they do have some super powerful air rifles now, like 50 cal and stuff like that, like big bore air rifles that will take down, like you can actually hunt like deer with and stuff like that. But they're very expensive. Hospitals don't have AC. Yeah, in the UK they don't, and in Germany it seems like they don't have grid to access. I don't know. Their grid will not support AC. I don't know. Maybe not. It is crazy, isn't it? You couldn't watch it till the end. All right. Hey, Kelly J, thanks for being here. Wow, we just passed 2 hours, and we are still $29 away from adding an extra hour. So just saying, as long as I'm still talking, if the money comes in, we'll extend it. But it is what it is. It is what it is tonight, folks. So EU commissioner says it has no pro or contra position on air conditioning, despite Europe swelters through another heat wave. You have a PCP pellet rifle. It's no joke. Yeah, there's a channel I used to watch all the time, which he hasn't really been putting out a lot of content, called like Iraq War Veteran 88 or something like that. And he did a whole thing. He did a whole thing about those air rifles. They're like a company that makes them. And they're not cheap. I think they're like $1,000 or $1,500 or more. Yeah, we use high-powered air rifles to depredate coyotes on airstrips. I remember when the rocket pistols first came out. Oh, yeah, those gyrojet pistols. Is that what you're talking about? Look at this for Doxy Mom for 20. Thank you. Wow, that means, folks, we're now just $9 away. Just $9. $9 away. $9 away. We're adding a first additional hour to the show. Thank you so much for Doxy Mom.
So we do have policies in place, but whether we have a position on air conditioning, pro or contra, not really, but we do tackle this as one policy area which relates to renovation of and energy efficiency of buildings and residential apartments, as well as part of our housing strategy.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know about the divorce stuff. I just wasn't sure like if that had something to do with it or not, because it looked like to me like he was selling off a bunch of his stuff. And but he used to do, it was him and his name's Eric, I believe, and his buddy Chad. And they used to do a bunch of great stuff. Yes, thank you, very generous. Before Doxy Mom comes in with another $9.99.
Tactical assessment. Red Chinese victory. Impossible. America will never fall to communist invasion. Communism is the very definition of failure.
Thank you so much for Doxy Mom. With that, folks, that means we are now just $99, $99.99 away, $99 away from adding a second additional hour to the show. Thank you, everybody. Boo, boo, doo. Everybody, donate so much. You could stop the projectile putting your hand over the barrel of what? But once it got going, oh, you're talking about the gyrojet. Oh, yeah. 2,500 PSI will run you a bit over 2K. Then you had a good scope. You can be looking at 3,500. Yeah, they're very expensive. They're good, though. I can't sleep. Yeah, keep going. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I was looking at the temps in London after a Facebook friend was complaining of the heat. The evening temps got to 59. I'm sure with fans, the temp will be tolerable at night. Yes, we are family. Thank you. Shame on Britain for how they treat their old people. It's crazy. They're losing way more people to heat than we lose to guns. It's crazy. To gang shootings and stuff like that. It's insane. So. Wait. Oh, it's the same one. Okay. Seattle Pride Parade participants stripped naked chase children around the water fountain. What? What is this? What is this? 99 Luft balloons. That's right. 99 Luft balloons. I'm gonna wait a few minutes, and then I will start the goal again on YouTube for another hour. So, Seattle Pride participants stripped naked and chase kids around. What the hell? Fully naked adults expose themselves to children in Seattle, Washington at a Pride parade on Sunday. Hundreds of thousands reportedly gathered to revel in sexual degeneracy. It's a typical scene during Pride Month in liberal cities. Of course, the police do nothing as nude adults abuse young children with indecent exposure. In California on Saturday, thousands of nude bikers participated in a World Naked Bike Ride. One vigilante actually got arrested for assault with a deadly weapon for shooting bikers with a BB gun. I've been telling people for decades that Senator Joe McCarthy was right. Maybe they'll finally wake up. I hope so. I hope so. I think we have 2 weeks of 100 heat index with no AC. Wow. Parts of this country are messed up. Yes, they are. One video on Sunday, fully naked adults are seen prancing around Seattle Center water fountain following a parade with dozens of young boys and girls present. One man appears to be chasing a young boy around the fountain with his genitals swinging around. A large group of furries dressed in animal costumes is also seen walking by innocent children watch, clap, and high-five predatory individuals. A black Mini Cooper is seen driving through the parade with a giant black dildo on its hood. And people are wearing demented costumes following all in front of young children and toddlers. Look at this. This is crazy. Nude bicyclists. I can't play it because it's nude people, but it's just nuts. So one woman is even seen in with a baby stroller exposing an infant to this degeneracy. This is just nuts. This is just nuts. That this Paris deputy mayor blames the United States carbon emissions for deadly heat wave. Are these people nuts? France has restricted public gatherings and reduced public hours of popular landmarks to protect tourists. These people are nuts. It's the United States' fault. Oh, it is. Okay. It's not China's fault.
Here's a mother of two who explained why she needed to use air conditioning.
I've got an 8-month-old baby and a 3-year-old. And my baby monitor last night said that both rooms at 7 o'clock at night, which is their bedtime, was 31 degrees.
Wow.
And Kate, like I think you said earlier, that the guidance is if it's 29 degrees or over, children under 5 should not be in them. Now, what do? Where do I put them? They have to go to sleep.
So you put the aircon on?
So I put the aircon on.
And Bjorn, one of the things is that the graphic says, is it selfish to use air conditioning? You are actually in London. It is sweltering there. Tell us what you think.
It is. I'm in a room that's not air conditioned, which of course most rooms in Europe are not. As your statistics show, 80% are not air conditioned. And the real point here is we've had this technology for more than a century, and Europe doesn't want to use it mostly because they want to feel virtuous. But the virtue has real costs, as you showed. Almost 300 people had died already. But the reality is that it's going to be many, many more. We estimate that without US level air conditioning, about 26,000 people might die every year in Europe, unnecessarily so. And we know how to fix it. We're simply not doing it because we want to be virtuous and because it's incredibly expensive to run your air condition because climate policies make electricity very expensive.
Wow. That's just nuts, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Crazy. Well, so the Supreme Court turns away Alan Dershowitz's defamation case against CNN. They killed 1,000 already. Yeah, I wonder if King Charles uses AC. Well, I wonder how hard it would be to install AC in some of those castles. I don't like having to go to Seattle. Never know when I'll have to hurt someone being crazy. Oh, we already saw that thing. So, Supreme Court on Monday declined to take up former Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz's case that CNN defamed him with its coverage of remarks he made during President Trump's impeachment trial. Wow. The dispute presented the High Court with the chance to revisit its landmark 1964 New York Times v. Sullivan case, which set a very high bar for suing newspapers, which they should be visited. Two of the justices, Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch, have criticized the decades-old decision, but no other member of the High Court has shown an appetite to reconsider it. Gorsuch and Thomas dissented from the decision not to hear the case. In rejecting Dershowitz's appeal, the Supreme Court left untouched the lower court decision in favor of CNN. Dershowitz's suit dates back to Trump's first impeachment trial, which involved claims that Trump abused power and obstructed a congressional investigation. Dershowitz served as a member of the president's legal team during the Senate trial and made remarks about the constitutional standards for impeachment on the Senate floor. In response, CNN published an online commentary criticizing Dershowitz's argument, and others appearing on the network condemned his statements. Amid the backlash, Dershowitz appeared on CNN twice to explain and defend his argument, and the network aired his remarks in full. Still, Dershowitz filed a $300 million defamation lawsuit and said that the remarks were engaged in a deliberate scheme to defraud its own audience. A federal district court in Florida ruled in favor of CNN in 2023 and finding that Dershowitz could not show that CNN acted with actual malice, I'm sorry, not mallets. CNN also said the court offered unrefuted evidence that its commentators believed their statements about Dershowitz were fair and accurate. So he appealed at the Supreme Court, and they refused to take up the case. Lawyers for CNN argued the Supreme Court to reject the appeal. They told the justice that Dershowitz's lawsuit targeted protected opinions, or at least commentators' interpretation of the arguments. Good to see the Irishmen fighting those bloody terrorist Islam fascists. Balmoral in Scotland is quite chilly. Southeast England and the continent are the hot areas. 39 Celsius is 102 Fahrenheit. That's crazy hot. Poor people. Yeah. They warned that the New York Times Sullivan is a cornerstone of modern constitutional law. The actual malice standard is a pillar for First Amendment jurisprudence. We'll see how much longer they hold that up. All right, then we got this. SCOTUS let a rigged verdict against the president stand. Wow. How dare they? And I'm going to go into YouTube now and restart the goal on YouTube for another hour. We are $99 away from a second hour, just saying. Just letting everyone stay informed. $99 left balloons away. Okay. No, shit. That's not right. What the hell happened? There we go. Wow. Very weird, man. We got like nobody here today. What's going on? I just looked up your channel and it didn't have you live. So weird. I don't know. Something's obviously going on. Something happened. I don't know if I'm shadow banned or something because notifications must not have gone out. I mean, I started at my regular time, 7, and we're like way less than half the normal audience that it's been like on the regular. This is like one of the lowest viewed shows I've had in like months. So I don't know what's going on. If I was Trump, I'd get 90 million in pennies and pay her. This is not the 80 million. This is the $5 million. Supreme Court announced on Monday that it won't touch a 2023 verdict that ordered President Trump to pay E. Jean Carroll $5 million for defaming her. While the court has handed Trump several wins, key to presidential action, the refusal stings precisely because it's the first time since he returned to office that he's asked the justices to step into his personal legal fight, and they walked away from it. Carroll claims without any evidence that Trump sexually assaulted her in a Manhattan department store back in 1996. She didn't go public until 2019. Yeah, I went back to the mainstream and I found you there. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. So, and she didn't go to the police. She put it in a book. Trump has always said the story was fabricated to sell that book, and everything she's done since has just given credence to the accusations that she's just a grifter. Trump's lawyers asked the Supreme Court to step in, warning that it's deeply damaging to the fabric of our republic for President Trump in the midst of a historic presidency to have to take his focus away from his singular and unique duties to continue fighting against a decades-old false allegation and the myriad of wrongs throughout this baseless case. He added, the mistreatment of the president cannot be allowed to stand. Trump's legal team argued Carroll sat on her implausible, unsubstantiated assertions for more than 2 decades to maximize political injury to him and profit for herself. They went further, pointing out that her account precisely matches the plot line from an episode of one of her admittedly favorite TV shows, Law & Order. A storyline that lines up neatly with a television script deserved more scrutiny than it got. And that's before you even get to the rest of Carroll's track record, including a paid walking tour that continually started at the exact spot she claimed Trump attacked her. But the key part of Trump's case wasn't about Carroll's lack of credibility. It was about what the jury never should have heard in the first place. His lawyers argued the jurors were wrongly allowed to hear testimony from 2 other women accusing Trump of assault, along with a 2005 Access Hollywood recording of Trump bragging about grabbing women. Yeah, Eugene Carroll said on CNN that rape was sexy. Yeah. She said it hurt, but allegedly Trump's dick isn't, yeah. Angie, the commie Craig, and that idiot liar Oman were looking to visit illegals in custody, but they were already thrown out. I think Iliot, are you talking about Ilhan Omar? I don't know. So the Second Circuit waived those objections, ruling that taking the record as a whole, considering the strength of the case, we are not persuaded that any claimed error or combination of errors rule affected Mr. Trump's substantial rights. What? Oh, all these errors, it doesn't matter. Now the Supreme Court has let the ruling stand without explanation. Trump isn't even Trump's only Carroll headache. A separate 2024 jury ordered him to pay her $83 million over public statements disputing her account. That verdict survived 3 separate appeals. His lawyers are now drafting a Supreme Court appeal in that case too, which was made possible by a special New York law that opened up a limited window for sexual abuse survivors to sue over decades-old claims. Carroll built an entire financial windfall on what was clearly a fiction, and courts have now signed off on every dollar of it. If chose not to, Carroll's cashes the check anyway. Yeah. This is crazy. YouTube is a liberal bias organization, batters streamers of conservatives. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what's going on. It really is. It's crazy what's going on. It's just crazy. All right. On to this next story here. We got father charged after 10-year-old allegedly shoots 7-month-old daughter. St. Louis Metro Police Department said the officer who responded to the shooting found the infant identified as Kiami Parker with a gunshot wound to the head. A 10-year-old Missouri boy has been arrested and charged with first-degree murder after police say he shot a 7-month-old infant in the head. Because of the law protects the identities of juveniles, authorities have not publicly released the boy's name. I thought the case is expected to proceed through the juvenile court system unless prosecutors seek to have the child certified to stand trial as an adult. I don't think you could. A 10-year-old? Come on, man. You can't. Seriously, a 10-year-old? A 10-year-old tried as an adult? That seems obscene to me. I don't know. The case is expected to proceed through the juvenile system. The St. Louis Metro Police Department said that the officer responded, found the baby with a gunshot wound to the head, and attempted to perform first aid. Parker did not survive her injuries. Police had arrested the victim's father, Carmarian Pawnell of Illinois, who was charged with first-degree child endangerment resulting resulting in the death of a child, second-degree murder, and 2 counts of endangering the welfare of a child. Pawnell's being held without bond. According to the court records, Pawnell admitted that he owned the firearm and that it was stored under a mattress in the home where the 10-year-old charged with murder knew where it was located and had handled it. What? Authorities have not revealed whether there was any family ties between Pawnell and the 10-year-old charged with first-degree murder. The case has drawn widespread attention because of the suspect's age. Local reports indicated he's believed to be the youngest person ever charged with murder in Missouri. Prosecutors have not announced when the juvenile will make his next court appearance. I mean, was this somebody who left a loaded gun laying around and a 10-year-old? I say Elon just buried all the evidence about our Congress using Twitter on the people. She bragged about rape fantasies. What are you talking about? I mean, this is just nuts. What kind of story is this? A 10-year-old? No one from Twitter was prosecuted. Someone should be. Ethiopian DSA Colorado congressional hopeful Malat Kiro says U.S. is to blame for 9/11. Single-payer health care pays for itself, and Fed should fund national social housing. Feels like negligence from the parents. That's what I was thinking. E. Jean thinks rape is sexy. That's what she said. The Supreme Court handed the Dems the win for 2028 with the mail-in ballots. Wild times ahead. You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. No one using Twitter was in Congress was prosecuted for censoring people. Following a spate of communist wins in New York City, a communist candidate in Colorado is seeking to win the Democrat nomination for the Congressional District 1. Malat Kiros, a 29-year-old Ethiopian-born demon rat socialist known as a communist to normal people, outlined her views in a recent interview. Why do we have these people that weren't born in the U.S. being able to serve in these places? I don't understand this. At the request of Nancy Pelosi, Elon erased everything. Why would he do that? She said that 9/11 was inevitable. During an interview, Kiros was asked whether she believed that 9/11 terrorist attacks were the inevitable consequence of American foreign policy. The interviewer is saying that she framed the October 7th attack on Israel as being an inevitable consequence of Israel based on actions. Yes, we are not a serious country. Clearly, we are not. She said it was inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response. She believes that the U.S. is to blame for 9/11 and that Israel is at fault for October 7th. Well, the Dems win in 28. Elon won't have a rough time. Dems will go after him.
Do you believe that the 9/11 terrorist attacks on America were the inevitable consequence of American foreign policy?
I believe that the quote in which that is probably being referenced by, in the context in which it was happening, was referencing a Pentagon official who was talking about the acts that America was taking in parts of the Middle East.
I want to clarify. I'm just asking you about your own words.
Yeah.
Your frame of the October 7th attacks was that was an inevitable consequence for Israel based on its actions. And I'm asking you, was 9/11 an inevitable consequence for America based on U.S. foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response. And again, just like I said before, our responsibility is to getting rid of those conditions that.
Wow. Wow, that's what we have here. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. And these are people who are going to get elected. The U.S. will celebrate No King's Day just like we did 250 years ago. What is this? What is that? Oh. So she was asked, what do you say to Democrat primary voters who are not socialists, who are capitalists? What I'm calling for is the same security that we have in the institutions, be it in our healthcare, to be in nutritional food. America is already socialist because we have roads and public schools. Her parents brought her here from Ethiopia to give her a better life. Now our goal is to make life worse for all of us.
What do you say to Democratic primary voters who are not socialists, who are capitalists, and are deciding who to vote for in this race?
Yeah. Well, first I'll tell them that we already have socialism, right? It's in the roads that we drive on. It's in our fire stations. It's in the public schools we send our kids to. What I'm calling for is the same security that we have in those institutions to be in our healthcare, to be in our access to nutritional food, to be in making sure that we have universal child care and universal elder care. We're embarking on a new era right now where AI is going to change the entirety of our labor economy as we know it. And we're not ready. We're not ready for what it looks like when all of these jobs potentially get taken away and wiped out by machinery. And if that happens, we need to make sure that people's basic needs are protected. And that's only through programs that would be socialist.
Wow. I can't, man. I can't anymore with this shit. I'm losing my fucking mind here. I really am. I'm losing my fucking mind. I don't get it. I don't get it. Well, she also called for housing first measures to be passed that would create social housing.
We could pass universal health care. We could pass universal child care. We could pass housing first measures that would deliver the federal funds necessary to create social housing, to create affordable housing. We could get the federal funds necessary to build out free public transit and high-speed rail across the country. It's not a question of
where the fucking money going to come from, you stupid cunt. We are $40 trillion in debt. We don't have money. We are broke. What? That's their goal? She sounds like a child. We can get the federal funds to pay for all this stuff. From fucking where? Where is it going to come from? We're going fucking broke.
What can we do? It's a question of what will we do? And the political will is what's missing right now. And that's the responsibility of voters to make that choice this election cycle.
What is most within reach and is most obtainable in 2, 4, 6 years?
Medicare for all, without question. I sincerely believe that the last thing Democrats did to meaningfully help working families was Obamacare, and that was a monumental achievement. Millions of Americans got health insurance that didn't have it before, but it was also a Band-Aid for a system that is now still hemorrhaging, and we're fighting for subsidies to be able to stop that bleed. Medicare for all is something that would meaningfully make real relief for working families in this country. And the position that I'm calling for in the next Democratic administration, where we hopefully have a trifecta, is to pass healthcare for all as a package, which would include Medicare for all, which would include canceling all medical debt and breaking up big medicine, a bill that Senator Warren and Senator Josh Hawley have introduced as well. That's how we MAGA-proof our future. Democrats are not going to win.
That's how we MAGA-proof our future. So she doesn't want America to be great. The fix is grid failure, a great reset, then the herds of people. By forcing higher taxes. The biggest gaslighting of people in history. You ain't kidding. Yeah, unions are paying a lot of them. Yeah, it's nuts, man. They don't know you pay for Medicare. Yeah, they think it's just free. They think the government just pays for it. It's free.
And again, we'll win in 28. We'll win this cycle as well. But that's just because the pendulum swings. But in order for us to have a lasting impact and make sure that we win in 2032 when whoever fills Trump's shoes comes into power, we have to make sure that we're delivering for working families and giving them the reason to trust us when we say that we're.
Nobody fucking trusts you, you fucking scumbags. She says the timing that's most within reach for the Democrat Party is Medicare for all. Wow. She wants free health care across the board, claims single payer actually pays for itself because it cuts out the middleman. These people are fucking insane.
How do you pay for single payer?
So single payer actually pays for itself, right? I think there's a misconception that, the healthcare is free, and that's not what's happening. When you pass Medicare for all, you're just cutting out the middlemen that are frankly just making a profit off of people being sick. And when you have Medicare being the most efficient health insurance program in the country compared to all of the other private health insurance companies, this is the most common sense thing to do. It's the thing that every other developed wealthy nation in the country has done. And it's been estimated to save thousands of dollars for taxpayers and to save $2 trillion for the government over 10 years.
Oh, fuck you. She states the U.S. tax codes need to be updated to account for the ultra billionaires and trillionaires not paying their fair share. The poverty line needs to be adjusted to take account like housing and health care. The minimum wage should be $21. Why not $100? Make it $1,000 an hour.
In America should be paying more taxes than they're currently paying.
The ultra rich. We have not had a fair tax code, frankly, probably since the 50s. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that wealthier people and wealthier interests and
get these people the fuck out of this country. Get them out of. Why are they fucking here? Why are they in this fucking country? Go back to Ethiopia, scum. Anyway, fucking Jesus Christ. Naduka Ekabadima arrested for a $2.5 million baby formula Medicaid fraud scheme. Well, what do you know? Probably someone from Ethiopia stealing all our fucking money. Yes, we pay into the Medicare program for our entire working lives. It's not free. You want $500 an hour? Yeah, why not? Why not $1,000? Pay everybody $1 million an hour. Then everybody's a millionaire. Everyone will take bushels of money to go get a loaf of fucking bread. Yeah, ask any person on Medicare what they think about it. You'll pay ridiculous amounts. Yeah, it's crazy. Does any of these journalists ask them to find rich? No. Make it $1 million an hour. That way we're all millionaires. Yeah, exactly. People wonder why 0300 I'm pacing outside. This shit is mine. It will not shut up. Yeah. Employers should double what they pay into Social Security. Oh, yeah. It's the Weimar Republic, baby. That's where we're headed with these fucking idiots. A resident in New York has been accused of defrauding. You notice how they say a resident, not an American citizen, defrauding Medicaid out of $2.5 million through a scheme that denied children access to necessary nutritional products. Naduki Lewis Ukadibima submitted 6,000 Medicaid claims via his business, Duke Medical, for Pediasure with peptides, a product he largely never actually procured. Fuck Obamacare and fuck Obama. Yeah, Obamacare didn't do anything to get people health care. There was, you know, that they found there was over 1 million fucking fraudulent ghost people on Medicare, on Obamacare, that people were stealing money and basically getting paid off. And there was never a claim filed on any of them because the people didn't fucking exist. I'm announcing the arrest of Nadika Abdika, charging Medicaid millions for pediatric formula that was never delivered. Yes. Making it harder for people that actually need it to get it. Oh, really? They heartlessly charged Medicaid millions for a pediatric formula that was never delivered. They were buying luxury cars with money he stole from our state's Medicaid program. It's happening everywhere. Everywhere. Both Academa and Duke Medical now face charges of grand larceny, healthcare fraud, a scheme to defraud. The ill-gotten gains were spent on luxury cars, including a Bentley and a Range Rover, pay mortgages on his Long Island mansion. According to investigators, Academa directed staff at pediatric officers to modify physician prescriptions by swapping standard Pediasure for the costlier Pediasure with peptides. The more expensive formula is intended specifically for pediatric patients with serious gastrointestinal issues. Thousands of reimbursement claims were then submitted to Medicaid for the products that were never actually ordered. An audit for the Office of the Attorney General found that Duke Medical had only bought roughly 10% of what was billed to Medicaid. Medicaid dispersed approximately $2.5 million to Duke Medical for the formula that was neither medically appropriate nor, in many instances, ever purchased or delivered. Wow. Suspected rapist arrested in Alabama after eluding authorities for over a year. A Washington State man accused of rape and assault has been arrested in Alabama after spending more than a year as a fugitive. Robert D. Pasquale was wanted in Spokane, Washington, Spokane County, Spokane, I don't know, on felony charges of second-degree assault and third-degree rape, both of which investigators say involved allegations of domestic violence. D. Pasquale was taken into custody on Wednesday by members of the Marshal Service Pacific Northwest Task Force of Violent Offenders. I don't know, but if you hum a few bars, Fats Dominoes. Authorities said D. Pasquale was arrested without incident and is currently being held in the Chambers County Jail in Lafayette, Alabama, with pending extradition to Washington. Check YouTube for what? What do I check YouTube for? Whole different Blue Monday in your head. Okay. According to the Marshal Service, D. Pasquale, whatever his name is, appeared before Spokane County Superior Court in May 2025 after a court appearance. Authorities say he fled Washington, triggering a year-long Spokane. Is it Spokane? Okay. Federal investigators later developed intelligence that he was in Alabama, where the task force coordinated to locate him and arrest him. We are on some live music trivia. Disregard. Okay. The dedication and perseverance of our task force and partners paid off to bring him to justice. So he's expected to be transported back to Spokane. Oh, exclusive. He has an address. Antifa threatens to kill Texas judges after terror comrades given lengthy sentences. What do you know? Anyone here know where these judges live? Just asking. Oh, we're burning all down. He has an address. So far left extremists are making violent death threats against two Texas federal judges after they handed down long prison sentences to convicted members of the North Texas Antifa terror cell. Threats followed last week's first batch of sentencing where 8 convicts received terms ranging from 30 to 100 years. They're becoming the first defendants convicted in federal Antifa terrorism cases in U.S. history. The threats are being directed at U.S. District Judge Mark T. Pittman and Chief Judge Reed O'Connor. Many of the threats were responses to updates on social media platform Blue Sky from the DFW Support Committee. The far-left group has been organizing support and cash donations for the defendants. So when are we burning? Oh, yes, we saw all this stuff. So I would think that this Blue Sky is clearly a fucking terrorist thing. Like the fact that they shut down Parler after January 6th, but Blue Sky is still allowed to go on with all this stuff tells you that we're really a one-sided thing happening here. Because Blue Sky is just nothing. Anything I ever see is just constant death threats, stochastic terrorism, and other shit. So Brad Ganley, a far-left extremist from St. Louis, posted 13 loops for Judge Pittman, whatever. Yeah. So they're saying they're going to hang this person. Wow. Count Duo, whatever this is, directed New York Times article about the assassination of a Spanish judge. Time to treat O'Connor like he is a Nazi is what it says. Wow. Some accounts call for people to assassinate these judges. That's crazy. Why would references to Nintendo Luigi character about Luigi Mangione? Blue Sky is for Fed posting, I think. I just Antifa retards. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it's weird that they're able to get away with this on Blue Sky. You know, it just seems odd to me. Many other accounts are threatening to further anti-government violence. Judge Pittman sentenced ringleader Benjamin Hanel Champagne Song to his trans to 100 years in prison. Good cop, bad cop routine, but both are after the same thing. Yeah. Well, at some point, people are going to have to fucking wake up. This has to be fought this has to be fought with every means necessary. Like, that's the terms, by any means necessary. That's what they say. But no, this needs to be fought by any means necessary. Then I have a message for the state. If your answer is violence returned 100-fold, we will offer it back to you the same way. Oh, okay. I'll offer it back then with the commie sickle. So this is who the Democrats have been playing footsie with. 7 other defendants sentenced Tuesday received prison terms ranging from 30 to 70 years. No public official or judge should be threatened with violence for carrying out their duties. I will do everything in my power so that the district judges can continue to make decisions free from concerns of violence, harassment, or intimidations. Yeah, like they went and harassed the Supreme Court and Biden did nothing. And his DOJ did nothing. These were the people. These were the people threatening. The guy tried to kill Brett Kavanaugh, remember? Oh, we don't discuss our specific security measures. We continue to review possible threats. Footsie, I'd say going down on. Well, I wanted to keep it, to conquer the American people, you have to divide the U.S. against each other. Yeah, well. The remaining 8 defendants, including 7 who pleaded guilty, are scheduled to be sentenced on July 1st. Defendants also continue to face separate serious state felony charges, where prosecutors have expanded the investigation to include 6 additional Antifa cell associates accused of helping Song evade capture during the 11-day manhunt. Well, yeah, anybody that helped them has to get charged. That's just no nonsense way to look at it. So Brandon Gill introduces legislation to ban taxpayer-backed mortgages for illegal aliens. Like, the fact that this is going on, these fascists don't know what fascist means. God, I hate them. So Texas Congressman Brandon Gill has introduced legislation to end the American taxpayer dollars to back mortgages for illegal aliens. One nephew in Maryland National Guard just got orders to head to D.C. for at least 2 weeks. The bill will finally prioritize citizens for federal housing programs. Gill announced the Homeowners Eligibility Reform Act. I just introduced a bill to restrict taxpayer-backed mortgages to U.S. citizens only. It's a crazy thought that only citizens should get taxpayer-backed mortgages.
Back, aren't we? And you know what that means? That means that we are finally going to take our country back, aren't we? That means that we are sending a fighter from Texas to Washington, somebody who's going to stand up for our values, aren't we? Somebody who's going to fight to keep the border secure, to deport illegal aliens, and yes, to get the Save America Act passed. Because it's not good enough anymore in Washington to just say the right things. We need somebody who's going to do the right things. And that person is Senator Ken Paxton. It's been a long road to get here.
Yeah. So legislation comes shortly after Housing and Urban Development took steps to tighten eligibility. Gill noted that under previous policies, about 6% of all FHA-insured mortgages went to non-citizens, including those without permanent legal status. And they just keep having elections without going back and fixing the fixed elections. That's right. Legislation requires anyone receiving taxpayer-backed mortgages to be a citizen. This bill is a direct HUD change that eliminates the category of non-permanent residents from FHA programs. Well, I think that's a good idea. Get rid of them. Report details Marie Glusenkamp's college ties to fetish events, campus drug culture. A new report casting fresh scrutiny on Rep. Mary Glusenkamp Perez's years at Reed College, alleging the Southwest Washington Democrat who is running for re-election, helped fund a campus fetish ball, promoted student events tied to the school's drug culture, and later accused by former acquaintances of bizarre behavior ranging from bartering spoiled food for rent to participating in the decapitation of a chicken during an urban farming experiment. How do you fix a system that's been so corrupted that elections are meaningless? I don't know, man. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. The allegations have drawn from archived student government records, podcasts, and interviews. Glusen Camp Perez enters what is shaping up to be the toughest re-election campaign of her political career. According to the New York Post, they served as a student senator and chaired Reed College Finance Committee in 2012. During the time, the student government approved $4,000 in funding for a campus latex fetish ball. Do you ask it nicely to change? No, you can't ask it nicely to change. You have to, have tribunals for those in the attempted coup. What has been built was never meant to survive. Well, they say it's a republic if you can keep it. That was what they said, and we're losing it. The club offered workshops on bondage techniques. The newspaper also reported that students' government promoted an LSD giveaway, nitrogen day. What? Reed College had previously drawn attention for student-written drug guides discussing substances including LSD, psilocybin, and cocaine, ketamine, nitrous oxide, commonly known as whippets. Former roommates alleged during an episode of the Coexist podcast that Glusen Camp Perez lived in the housing he provided following a breakup, but repeatedly refused to pay rent. Egger recalled that when he requested payment, she once attempted to compensate him with spoiled produce, the kind of avocado where you can't even turn it into guacamole. And she's like, here's rent. And I was like, no, absolutely not. She would literally never pay rent. Eager also claimed Perez was an avid dumpster diver and once decapitated a chicken while roommates frantically searched online for a humane way to slaughter the animal during an urban farming experiment. Investigative journalists who attended Reed College alleged in a separate report that Glusen Camp Perez sold low-quality marijuana from a van. She sold dirt weed from a van. Earlier this year, election shifted Washington's congressional district from tilt Democrat to toss-up. Trump carried the district by approximately 3 percentage points. The outlet wrote that Democrat Rep. Glusen Camp has ongoing issues with her base that won't prevent her from getting through the top 2 primary, but it could make her race against Senator John Braun a little less comfortable in a district where Trump finished ahead of Kamala by 3 points. Ditchweed ripoff artist, yeah. So Republicans have criticized Glusen Camp Perez after campaign finance disclosures showed that approximately 81% of her campaign contributions came from outside Washington state. Critics have further pointed to her silence as Demon Rats and Olympia advanced a proposal to impose an income tax during this year's legislative section. She first won her seat in 2022 after defeating Republican Joe Kent and has frequently attempted to distance or present herself as a moderate. Yeah, it's all seeds and stems. That's it, all seeds and stems. So this is that story. Chinese dissident Miles Gu sentenced to 30 years. Shortly after Gu's 2023 arrest, his penthouse apartment spontaneously caught on fire while investigators were still inside. Gu Wengay, self-exiled, MAGA-linked media mogul from China, was sentenced to 30 years in prison after he was convicted of ripping off his supporters to the tune of $1 billion while espousing anti-communist views. He's known as Ho Wan Kwok, or Miles Go, stole $550 million from thousands of victims who invested in his companies, according to trial evidence, and did not appear to regret his actions. Mr. Gu, to this day, denies responsibility and exhibits no remorse for the harm he did cause so many people, the Barack Obama appointee said before handing down a sentence. In 2024, Gu was convicted on 9 fraud and conspiracy counts and acquitted of wire and securities fraud related to GTV, a Chinese media platform and anti-censorship venture he founded with former Trump advisor Steve Bannon. Bannon was arrested aboard Gu's yacht in 2020 on fraud charges. Yes, we too low. Bang dim pow. This guy, that's the guy Bannon shows on the yacht at the beginning of the War Room. Shortly after his arrest, the penthouse at the Sherry Nederland Hotel on Fifth Avenue caught fire while investigators were still inside. At Gu's 7-week trial in 2024, prosecutors said he built an online following through his outspoken opposition to the Communist Chinese Party. CCP then cheated supporters out of their savings through sham opportunities tied to his business. One of those who invested, Wei Chen, spoke at Monday's hearing and said her family lost their entire savings and was pushed into deep debt because they believed investing in Gu would pay off. The fraud destroyed my life. I took our peace of mind, our hope. Defense attorney spoke about Gu's difficult upbringing, being raised during China's Cultural Revolution, where his parents were deemed enemies of the state. She said he continued to face governmental persecution and sought refuge in the U.S., where the luxuries he flouted served to build a brand that demonstrated to the people of China what they could achieve. Monday's proceedings were delayed by 5 hours after Gu had health issues. Beginning at 5 a.m., he told the court, including vomiting blood. Gu, who asked for a sentencing adjournment, insisted he brought to court on Monday, even though doctors suggested returning to his cell. The creation of GTV was a direct response to CCP efforts to silence Mr. Gu. Gu made false promises on live streams, prosecutors said, guaranteeing followers big returns if they put money into his projects, ensuring them to be personally responsible for any losses. If anyone loses money, please come to me. I will be responsible, he said. Well, you can't guarantee that stuff. Numerous investors testified otherwise. One witness, Jenny Lee, said she took out a second mortgage to invest $100,000 in Gu's businesses and was left with nothing but a $20,000 refund from the SEC. Gu stole my money. He's just a liar. He's very good at acting and cheating. Well, this sounds like a real crook here. Gu's lawyer said their client's wealth flaunting was intended to spit in the eye of the CCP. It's not a crime to be wealthy. Gu left China in 2014 during an anti-corruption crackdown led by President Xi Jinping that ensnared people close to Gu, including a top intelligence official. Chinese authorities seek Gu's return on claims of rape, kidnapping, bribery, and other offenses. This guy sounds like a real piece of shit. What? Gu made who? Gu made you. Majin Gu. Same with Vietnam. Same with Gaza. Same with the Koreans. Yep. Corruption everywhere. It's everywhere. Okay. On behalf of the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office, they're going to provide an update. The situation at Berkeley Martin Regional Detention Center early this morning has ended. FBI SWAT team, FBI Hostage Rescue, and SBI 1937 cleared the facility. All inmates and staff are safe and accounted for, and those who sustained injuries received treatment. Inmates were transferred to other facilities for housing, and the detention center remains secured while personnel assess the extent of the damage. The public is asked to avoid the area as crews work to clear the scene. The following agencies responded. So all these agencies responded. There was a prison riot. All right. There was a prison riot at a prison in North Carolina. Incident ends. Investigation continues after inmate takeover.
Buying life insurance shouldn't feel scary.
This is a lot.
So the incident at the Berkeley Martin Regional Jail has ended after inmates overpowered correctional officers and took control of the facility early Monday morning.
After nearly 10 hours, the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, secured the Berkeley Martin Regional Jail after 2 correctional officers were taken hostage. Officials say negotiations took place before the situation came to an end. 88 inmates transferred to other detention facilities after a hostage situation in the Berkeley Martin Regional Jail.
The jail had been taken over, and that 2 correctional officers were held hostage.
Officials say negotiators worked with the inmates while law enforcement cleared the building. As inmates were loaded onto buses, worried family members gathered outside waiting for answers.
My son's safety was initially my first thought, just to make sure that he was okay. He did give me a call and let me know that he was okay and what was going on inside. He said it was just a mess. And so I just was concerned about his safety and his well-being.
Officials say 3 guards were inside the jail when the incident began around 5 a.m. 1 officer escaped. Authorities say around 9:30 Monday morning, negotiations led to the safe release of 2 guards along with 18 inmates. 20 minutes later, more inmates were released. At a news conference, Sheriff Tyrone Ruffin confirmed all correctional officers received medical treatment. State and federal investigators, bomb technicians, and dozens of local law enforcement officers responded to the scene.
FBI, the SBI, and there's about 15 sheriffs standing behind me here that are also here working with the incident crew today.
As investigators continue to process the facility, many in the Bertie County community are still trying to process what happened.
Y'all, it is crazy. This is crazy.
It's heartbreaking.
Officials are now assessing the damage inside the jail as the investigation continues. The Bertie County Sheriff says more information will be released as it becomes available. Reporting in Bertie County, Mary Grace Armistead.
Who been hacked? Me? No, I ain't been hacked. I don't think so. So yeah, so a riot, the prison was taken over, and a bunch of people arrested. So
Buying life insurance?
So they call 5 a.m. when the thing.
I'm Chad with the North Carolina SBI, Chad Flowers. I'm going to introduce the Sheriff of Bertie County, Sheriff Tyrone Ruffin. He's going to give you a statement. I don't think we're going to take very many questions, but we're going to give you an update on where we are and what we're doing actively right now. Sheriff Ruffin.
Thank you, Chad. Sheriff Tyrone Ruffin, Bertie County Sheriff. I'm going to release information about the critical incident that we had at the Bertie Martin Regional Jail this morning. That at 5 o'clock a.m., the Bertie County Sheriff's Office received a call at the Bertie Martin Regional Jail in reference to the jail had been taken over and that 2 correctional officers were held hostage. The first deputy was on scene within 2 minutes of the initial call and was not able to make entrance into the facility as the other deputies had arrived and secured the perimeter to the building. All correctional officers have been released and they are safe at the point receiving medical treatment. Okay, additionally, we have removed, the last count, we removed about 80 inmates and only a few inmates remained in the detention center. The North Carolina State Bureau of Investigations has made entry into the facility and is working to secure and take the remaining inmates into custody. It has been brought to my attention that there has been some misinformation and some concerns raised about the facility and the care of the inmates. And as soon as I get the current situation and the current events under control, I will address the issues of the facilities and care of the inmates with the public as the investigation goes on. Okay, as things progress throughout the day, I will give additional details about our progress. I am committed to the citizens of Bertie County to be transparent and ensure everyone's safety, and that is including the staff at the jail and the inmates. There is no immediate threat to the public, and everything is contained to the facility. We have the total area under control, and we're working to clear this event as soon as possible and as safe as possible. We have over 20 plus law enforcement agencies that are here, and we're all working to contain this event and start an investigation to find out what are the events that occurred this morning. Thank you.
All right. So yeah, so that happened. We got this story. Body of a newborn baby found in a restroom at an Electric Forest Festival, Michigan State Police say. Well, it's actually in a porta potty. A newborn baby's body was found in a porta potty. This is crazy.
Body of a girl who drowned while swimming in the Detroit River. It happened at Maharris Gentry Park around 8:30 last night. Now, a second girl was also in the river at the very same time, but we're told she was pulled to safety. And in West Michigan, a newborn baby was found dead inside of a portable bathroom at the Electric Forest Festival. According to state police, the body was found by a worker actually cleaning the unit. Right now, investigators are trying to locate that child's mother. Now, let's head to Venezuela. Here's a look at...
Is that crazy? That's crazy, right? Somebody just dumped it in a porta body. So they're investigating after the body of a newborn baby was found in a restroom at the Electric Forest Festival. State said the portable restroom where the body was found in the camping area was an annual event. The body was discovered by an employee of the restroom vending company during routine maintenance. According to the agency, there's no known threat to the public. Anyone who was in the area saw anything unusual is asked to contact the agency here. The festival at the Double JJ Ranch features dozens of DJs and music artists. It started on Thursday and is expected to wrap up Sunday night. I mean, this is just insane. Insane. Somebody just dumped a baby. Those are those clumps of cells. Very sick. I remember when people treated babies like they were precious. Abortion pill. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. It's possible. Maybe an abortion pill, but I mean, they said it was a newborn baby, so they didn't say it was like a. They didn't say it was like a barely. You know, I don't know. Italian locals pummel African menace after he begins masturbating in front of young children and families at a beach in Genoa. If she had it aborted, it would have been okay. Wasn't born dead, I guess. Yeah, I'm just what I'm thinking. It wasn't born dead. It would say if it was born dead. They only give the abortion pills the first 12 weeks, I think. Well, that's the thing. Now that they're doing it through telehealth and over the mail and everything, you never know when they're going to give it. You know. So, yeah. A video shows an African migrant exposing himself to women and children at the beach in Italy's gone viral, being the spotlight of the horrors of the mass migration. Horrifying footage shows an African migrant standing in front of families and young children pleasuring himself. This is what mass migration and amnesty advocates want to bring to beaches near you. Anti-mass migration activist Tommy Robinson shared a clip on X, writing, the new normal, modern beaches in Europe. Another widely circulating video, though unconfirmed, appears to show the man facing the wrath of locals who pummeled him over the obscene display. One woman can be seen stepping in. I don't know. I mean,
the Fed just installed a kill switch in your bank account. If you have over $100,000 sitting in a traditional IRA.
That don't look like the same guy. That didn't look like the same guy to me in the picture above. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe it was. I don't know. But didn't look like the same guy. The guy looks skinnier in this video. So the video filmed on a public beach next to the Bagni Mediterranean with the voice of children playing on the shore in the background. The video, published by the Hispanic online portal, garnered 40 million views on TikTok in just a dozen hours. Yeah, white women rescuing the monster. Of course. Mm-hmm. Happened Sunday at the public beach. We don't know where this guy ended up or what he was doing, or whether he was alone, he appeared with or whatever. But you can see in the video, everything he did in broad daylight in front of children. We heard shouting. Punching a man with his dick out is uncomfortable. I think I was born 20 years too late. I hate what's happening to our country. You ain't kidding. It's happening everywhere, man. I can't get over it. It's two different incidents. The beach one, no one did anything. Okay. That's what I thought. Didn't look like the same guy. So the president of the regional council of LaGuardia and former deputy mayor of Genoa addressed the incident in a video statement. What happened cannot and must be downplayed or swept under a rug. It is not merely a serious incident. It's something that wounds every sense of civil coexistence and respect due to others. Well, our beaches, our squares, our public spaces must remain places of serenity, safety, and freedom, especially for the youngest among us. Is it going to be in Italian?
Un uomo ha compiuto atti osceni in spiaggia davanti a famiglie e bambini. È successo a Peggy, a Genova.
Okay, well, I can't speak Italian, so I can't. All right. And then now we got a story. A bunch of people are making a big deal because it says Trump bought as much as $5 million in Axon stock before ICE sought a $220 million taser deal. All right. Trump's stock purchase, all this stuff is controlled by a blind trust. He doesn't have any say over it. All right. Now, the Axon is the company that makes tasers. So basically, any and all purchases of tasers are going to go through Axon. So they're trying to make a big deal about this. Now, it's quite possible that somebody heard that ICE was hiring a bunch of people, and so they're going to need to buy a bunch of tasers. And so they said, hey, maybe we're going to make this thing. But they're trying to somehow say this is corruption or insider trading because, oh, they had a contract to buy tasers. They had to buy the tasers. Should they not buy the tasers? American First says, I think women can get abortion pills from their friends no matter how many months along they are. Oh, yeah, definitely. They can just do it online now and order them, and they just get shipped through the mail, so nobody knows anything. So Trump disclosed buying between $1 million and $5 million in Axon on February 10th. 2 weeks later, ICE posted a notice seeking a 5-year, $220 million taser contract, along with unlimited cartridges, enough to more than quadruple its current inventory. The ICE notice does not name Axon, but procurement reviewers and policy experts told CNBC that specification appears to match only Axon products. Well, yeah, because that's the only people who make the tasers. They also do the body cams. Yeah. Buying 2 weeks before the contract is sus. The contract was going to come up because they were hiring all these people. I mean, it just doesn't. The ICE notice does not name Axon. There is no evidence Trump was involved or had any knowledge of the procurement process or that Axon knew about his stock purchase. This is just ridiculous. Like, Trump didn't know about this procurement, didn't know anything about any of this. And he's not buying the stock. Someone else is. Axon has intensified its federal influence efforts, spending nearly $2.5 million on lobbying last year and hiring former top Palantir employee as it builds out government businesses. Like, almost all of Axon's business is through police departments and other governments. I mean, this is just ridiculous. So they don't even, so it's like he's reporting they purchased between 1 and 5 million, but it wasn't Trump. It was his trust that bought it. The White House has said Trump's assets are held in a trust managed by his children and that Trump investments are managed by an independent third party, not Trump or his family. There's no conflicts of interest. Trump disclosed with the U.S. Office of Ethics shows more than 3,700 transactions with the total amount for each listed and the range rather than the exact figure. Under federal law, presidents are exempt from the criminal conflict of interest statute that applies to most executive branch officials. They want to prop up China, in my opinion. Bye-bye now. A fetus. At some point, the fetus is not born as a baby. Yeah. Well, I think they didn't say that it was a fetus. They didn't say that it was. They said it was a newborn baby. So the person gave birth to the baby in the porta potty or gave birth somewhere else and chucked it in the porta potty. So Axon makes 90% of U.S. tasers. So it's a good investment when people are expanding police departments. They're going to have to buy more tasers. The purchase would more than quadruple ICE's current taser arsenal, replacing 4,300 devices. But they don't only just make tasers. They also make body cams. And didn't ICE and all them people get ordered by a judge to have to buy body cams? There's no evidence Trump was involved or had knowledge of the procurement process or that contract officials knew of his stock purchase. There is no indication Axon had access to non-public information about the president's personal investments. The ICE notice was part of standard federal procurement process, a request for information rather than a formal solicitation. There's no public record showing which vendors, if any, responded. So this is just all nothing. They're just trying to say, oh, Trump bought stock, and then the government had to buy stuff. It's like, what the fuck, man? How many government officials are invested in Raytheon or in Boeing or in all these other things? I mean, this is just fucked up that they're trying to smear Trump with this. Anyway, I don't understand it. All right. And then we got this. JetBlue pilot reports plane struck a drone while landing at JFK. It's nuts. This is crazy. A JetBlue pilot reported that he struck a drone 3,000 feet while on final approach at JFK. It happened around 7:15 a.m.
Passengers on a JetBlue flight headed to JFK Airport. The pilot says the plane was traveling from Las Vegas when it hit a drone about 3,000 feet in the air as they were trying to land.
Just quickly, I couldn't talk to approach, but we collided with a drone back there in the turn.
You said you collided?
Yep, it hit us right above the cockpit.
No one was hurt. JetBlue says the plane was removed from service for a post-flight inspection and also says there was no damage or evidence of a collision.
Wow. Well,
They spent even less on their daughter's toy.
I mean, it's a shitty little drone. It's not going to do a lot of damage. So he said he collided. It was probably just a little but someone should have been flying it there. It's equivalent to a bird strike. The engine will be knocked out. Yeah. Not the only mishap at JFK on Monday. A helicopter pilot reported seeing a remote control airplane flying there, almost ran into a gigantic RC airplane right over the Floyd Bennett field. It all comes on the heels of an incident Friday when United Airlines reported his flight nearly struck a drone while preparing to land at Newark. People are just taking out their drones and they're not really getting into the nitty gritty of what it means to be able to fly one of these things. Oh, so this is what's going to happen here is there's going to be a bunch of new laws about drones now, thanks to this stuff. They just do enjoying hating on Trump, Jim. Yeah, well, that's what they like doing. They really do. They really, really do love hating on Trump. They really, really do love hating on Trump. They can't get enough of hating on Trump. Wow. I usually think it's time that drone manufacturers start to get together and install a lot of these safety features into their applications because it's important. So yeah, so they're going to look for, they're going to put, this is going to be to pass laws to say like they're going to have to have like software in the drones to keep them away from certain areas that they can basically shut them down or something. Flying a drone in restricted airspace can result in federal and state penalties and fines ranging from $250 to $20,000. Darn dictators, yeah. Really need to work on the fiber optic filament destruction required to disable the drones they are using. Yeah, something. Got this. A mystery as a U.S. Marine vanishes off a massive amphibious ship off the coast of California. U.S. Navy launch. U.S. Marines vanished from an amphibious Navy ship off the coast of Southern California, sparking a massive multi-agency search. Marine was assigned to USS Anchorage during training with the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit and the Macon Island Amphibious Ready Group. After approximately 43 hours of search and rescue, the Navy shifted to recovery operations. Personnel from the Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard and Air Force participated in the search. Officials say crews searched approximately 2,400 square miles using 3 surface ships and 12 aircraft. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and those who are affected during this difficult time. The Navy has not released additional details about the circumstances surrounding the disappearance. Following Navy policy, the Marine identified identities being withheld until 24 hours after next of kin notification. The investigation of the incident is still ongoing. Wow. Wow, that's terrible. So we got this. Democrat Senator Raphael Warnock claims transphobia is an offense to the glory of God. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Raphael Warnock, a demon rat, recently spoke to members of a synagogue and claimed that transphobia is violence against humanity and divinity and an offense to the glory of God. There is a YouTube video. A man made a drone destroyer out of a microwave oven. Well, that's good. First, transphobia is stupid word. People who object to trans agenda do not fear trans people. They don't want to be pushed in their kids' schools. Second, trans aren't the ones who are denying God by interfering with his creation. Warnock is a pastor. You'd think he'd know better. A Baptist pastor joined Rabbi Sharon Bruce in a public exchange after his initial sermon, but not before espousing his condemnation for transphobia. Warnock later confessed he had chastened some of those within his own church. The church is as homophobic as anybody. Oh. Breitbart previously reported Warnock is a self-described pro-LGBTQ plus pastor. Wow, that's odd. And I wonder, what is this church, all white women? I'm pro-LGBTQ plus pastor understands that no one is free until we're all free.
We Christian folk have been blind to our bigotry, to the ways in which we are inhospitable to those who have another way to the center. And then Jews and Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs and others had to stand up and say, we too know something about the glory of God. We talked about equal protection under the law while marginalizing members of the LGBTQ community. But then they found their voice and said, we too know something about the glory of God. It takes all of us to see the glory of God. So we have to push hard against bigotry, and racism, anti-Semitism, transphobia, xenophobia in all of its forms, because it is violence not only against humanity but against divinity. It is an offense to the glory of God.
Wow. 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 Wow, 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 wow. Well, we didn't hit the goal, people, for another hour. So, I don't know. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be it for this evening. I'm going to send everybody over to Cynic over on FFS. I think I might join them for a little bit if you guys want to go over there and pop in. Other than that, I will see everybody tomorrow at 7. I want to thank you all for here. Thank you for the donations. Let everybody know that come back tomorrow at 7 for Jim to tell you the news.